Hey friends, welcome to Shigaraki. So today we are gonna see, what if DEKU was cursed by the power of creation? Part 1. So before we start, check out my Patreon page for R18 plus exclusive mature content. We will now proceed to the video. People are not born equal. What a bunch of crap. Everyone is born equal, the world is responsible for their changes, and the people are responsible for the world. Those who came to this world and were left by themselves, are the only ones who can complain about injustice. They got their chance snatched from them, they have the right to be mad at the world. They have the right to impose their will against everything. In this new world, there's only one absolute truth: villains aren't born. They're raised. My name is Midoriya Izuku, and at the age of 4, I was told I had a quirk nobody could identify. The doctor who examined me showed us the proof that I had the third joint on my pinky toe, which represents the evolution of humanity. The birth of a new generation of exceptional abilities users in this new world where fantasy becomes reality. This little detail could dictate how your life would progress, how you would be treated by most people, and how you would live. After I was told that for this new world I meant nothing, I kept trying to live as a hero, trying to absorb their ideals as my own. I kept trying to be like the hero I admired so much. All Might. I desperately waited for the day my quirk would activate. I studied everything about it, analyzing other people's quirks endlessly, and I found nothing. But I kept going. I trained alone in an abandoned place next to my house, learning how to fight by myself using videos and books as reference, and my quirk didn't activate. But I kept going. Back then, when my mother gave up on me, feeling sorry for her normal son and the suffering he would face in his life, it hurt most than anything. But even after that, I kept going. After all, a true hero never gives up and always faces everything with a smile, right? After years of mistreating in Kachan's hands, could you really blame me if I were to become a villain? He just told me to kill myself. The person I also admired for so long, the person I considered my friend. The one who uttered these words to me is someone praised by adults, someone considered suitable to be a hero, a model to the next generation. He's someone who aims to be the strongest hero ever. This is just stupid. I was stupid for trying to follow him all this time, being humiliated, inflating his ego for years. How stupid I was. Midoriya kept walking, repeating the words inside his mind when he heard a strange voice behind him. A medium-sized body. To hide in, he looked over his shoulder to see who was peeking and locked eyes on a giant slimy monster. Wow, it looks like a villain with a transformation quirk, he analyzed in less than 2 seconds, jumping away from the danger the monster was emanating. But before he could gain any distance, he was caught and engulfed by the sticky substance that started covering his face, preventing him from breathing. Just before passing out, he heard a familiar voice. A voice he had heard a million times on the TV. "Fear not, Shonen, I am here." The last thing he remembered was a strong wind pressure before fainting. He woke up after being softly face-slapped, instantly looking at the man in front of him, thinking he could only be dreaming. All Might, the #1 hero, was right there. An autograph. Where's M? He looked around and found his earned notebook opening just to see the hero's signature on it. He already signed it. When the hero said until next time and was about to leave, Midoriya felt despair. He still needed an answer. He needed to hear it from him. He was sure that All Might wouldn't turn him down like the others. As the symbol of justice, he was sure he was going to believe in him. Just because nobody had an answer to his unknown power, it didn't mean he was useless. "Please, wait, I want to ask you something." The hero turned and Midoriya looked away, too embarrassed to maintain eye contact. "Can someone without a quirk become a hero like you?" Without a quirk? All Might kept staring at the boy, wondering what he meant by that. After the hero questioned him, Midoriya explained that after being tested over and over again, his quirk never awakened. Although everyone was sure he had one, they just didn't know how to turn it on, not even Midoriya himself. "Shonen, I can understand what you're feeling, having your power so close and yet having nothing at all. It must be frustrating, but I can't be an irresponsible adult right now and just say that you can become a hero." Midoriya's face fell as he eared the only person in the world that he expected to believe in him, to give him hope, doing exactly the opposite. A pro should always be ready to risk his life, and without power, can one really become a hero? "I don't think so, Shonen." Midoriya just gripped the front of his shirt with his eyes closed, trying hard not to cry, feeling his words hit like slaps. "If you desire to help people, you could become a police officer. There's nothing wrong about dreaming, but you need to face reality, shonen. I'm sorry, but with the way you are, you cannot become a hero. He turned and jumped away, the wind pressure making Midoriya's hair stand. Just like that, it ended. Midoriya's dreams, ambitions, hope. He kept staring at the ground, not knowing what to do. Where to go? He was lost. This was a little harsh. But the sooner he faces reality, the better. Also, this is the first time I heard about a quirk that no one can classify. That's odd. Lost in thoughts about the boy's strange past, he didn't notice the bottle he just dropped. The bottle containing the sticky villain he captured. Midoriya looked up to see All Might's figure flying away. He kept watching for a few seconds, mortified. He felt his head hurt after hearing those words. He just had the last shred of hope ripped from him by his idol. He opened his eyes, but his vision was blurred by tears. He wiped them out, but he still couldn't see things in front of him. Everything was blurred, and before he could ask himself what happened to his eyes, he grabbed the sides of his head, feeling it hurt, that he fell to his knees. He wanted to scream, but his jaw was locked, his hands pressing his skull in an attempt to relieve the pain. It was like someone was crushing his brain. He kept there on the ground, waiting for the pain to pass, and felt it spreading to his eyes as well. After a few minutes, it just suddenly stopped, like it never happened. He was feeling dizzy, and after opening his eyes again he saw two flies next to him. And it looked like they were flying in slow motion. He took a step forward, but as he did so, everything came strangely close, as if he was seeing everything from a wrong-sized pair of lenses. He could still feel the depth. He just wasn't used to it yet. What the hell is going on? What is this? He tried to walk again, his arms raised in front of him to help with his balance, and NT to the small stream next to the place he was to wash his face and his eyes that were now aching. When he crouched to get water, he saw something reflected on the water's surface that made a chill through his whole body. He saw a pair of red eyes glowing, and suddenly, he was aware of everything around him. The processing speed of the incoming visual stimulus was off the charts, that was all. Midoriya could think as he saw 4 fishes underwater, 10 meters ahead, and somehow could keep track of them even after turning to look at some bees flying around him. Somehow, everything seemed slow to his eyes and his vision blurred again. But this time caused by the tears falling down his face, as he realized those eyes had to be his quirk. His quirk that has just awakened. I'm not useless. I'm not quirkless. I knew I wasn't useless. After recovering, he wiped the tears, and looking back to the place where his dreams were destroyed a few minutes ago, he swore. I'll show you. I'll show you. You'll show you too what it truly means to be a hero, All Might. Kak Bakugo. He heard an explosion and turned towards its general direction. He could even hear some sirens. He ran for a few minutes, until he reached the crowd that was watching a sticky villain who just abducted a boy fight with pro heroes. The villain was using explosions in every direction, making people gasp, a few filming with their cell phones. Every time Midoriya blinked, his eyes automatically registered a new detail in front of him, somehow keeping track of movements made by those around even after passing by them. He saw the heroes standing back because it was dangerous to approach the explosive monster. Explosions. Midoriya noticed those explosions and how they reminded him of a certain someone. He swiftly walked through the crowd, finding the narrow spaces while moving swiftly, until he reached the front row and saw the look on the boy's face. The one who was being chalked just like Midoriya was a few minutes ago was Bakugo. He locked his new red eyes with the boy's eyes, seeing only fear and despair on his face, instantly running towards the villain, jumping over a sign, not even realizing what he was doing. He is going to die and everyone is just watching, waiting for another hero to save the day. You are all pathetic. You call yourselves heroes. He approached, barely aware of the screams coming from behind, telling him to stop. He was focused on the sticky villain, who saw his advance and tried to blow him with a direct blast, but he just stepped aside, dodging the heat. What the hell? That was too easy. He threw his backpack directly in the villain's face, which made him let go of Bakugo's face, allowing the boy to breathe again. Deku. Why, it looked like you were asking for someone to help you. Midoriya saw the villain's left arm coming his way and dodged the explosion again, feeling the hot vapor against his face, but everything was so calm that he wasn't feeling pressured at all. However, he noticed something alarming. He was getting strangely tired, as if his whole body was getting too heavy for him to handle. His breathing getting out of control, and his legs starting to drag. He kept dodging and throwing anything he could pick up from the ground directly at the villain's eyes, making him unable to focus on Bakugo. After a close call, where he got a small burn on his left wrist, he turned to the crowd and shouted, "For how long are you going to keep watching? Do you call yourselves heroes?" He was almost at his limit. He just discovered this new power and was already fighting a monster with Bakugo's power, yet, he was holding his own for more than 5 minutes and nobody lifted a finger to help. Suddenly, he felt a presence that was going to grab his arm and instantly withdrew it when he was about to be touched. He saw a hand close on thin air and heard the same familiar voice talk something about lessons, but he wasn't paying attention to those empty words anymore. They meant nothing to him now. All Might blew the villain towards the sky with such force that a tornado was created and a few seconds later it started raining. Midoriya finally could rest, so he sat on the sidewalk still feeling his body fatigued. What was going on? He looked at his arms and legs and after a quick analysis of what happened, he concluded that he was still seeing everything with that distorted eyesight. He understood then. He needed to stop his power. He needed to turn it off because it was draining his energy too fast, but how could he stop that? He tried closing his eyes and concentrating, but the answer simply popped inside his mind. He just needed to want to turn it off, so he did, and after opening his eyes again, the world came back to normal. The pressure instantly getting off his body. He looked around and saw Bakugo, who had fainted a few seconds ago, sitting as well, being praised by some pro-hero because of his toughness and his quirk, but he just looked down. Not bragging as usual. "Yay, you're the one that got saved by me. Maybe if I had killed myself today as you suggested, you would also be dead by now." Midoriya just noticed that a pro-hero was trying to scold him about being reckless, so he grabbed his bag, getting up and after looking directly at the pro-hero Death Arm's face, said without any fear or insecurity for the first time in his life, "Someone was in danger, and there were no heroes available, so I did what I thought was right, now if you excuse me." He walked away from a perplexed hero and was pierced by Bakugo's stare. The moment he passed by the perimeter tape, he saw the place where the number 1 hero was giving an interview. He looked at him, feeling a new kind of feeling. It wasn't rage, it was a feeling he never experienced before. Something that caused a sensation of betrayal. All Might felt the urge to look back and their eyes met for a second. What All Might saw there made him straight up his interview mid-sentence and wonder. His eyes just changed color, didn't they? Crossroads. Coming back home, Midoriya remembered how he spoke to Death Arms at the scene of the fight. He spoke like that to a real pro-hero. Also, the way he shouted before that, towards the others, that wasn't like him at all. He never considered himself to be explosive, but everything that happened to Ode made him a rollercoaster of emotions. He wanted to apologize like he usually did, but this new feeling of anger prevented him from doing so, which made him not entirely sure if he was sad or not. In a part of his mind, he could stop finding that feeling liberating. He heard someone coming from behind him and turned. Well, I guess it could take some time to get used calling him by his name. "Hey, Deku." Midoriya was about to ask what he wanted, when Bakugo just harshly spoke with his fists closed, looking more insane than ever. "I never asked you to save me. As if you could even help me. I could have beaten him myself. How dare a quirkless Feilu." Before he could keep the insults, he looked at Midoriya's face and froze. His facial expression was wrong. He looked unaffected by his words, even bored. Nothing even close to his usual "I am about to cry" face. "Yay, you really didn't ask for me to help you, but you're welcome anyway. And I didn't save you. All Might did. If you could beat the villain by yourself. I guess we'll never know." As for the last part, Midoriya closed his eyes for 1 second, switching his power on, feeling nothing but pleasure seeing Bakugo use thunderstruck face as he looked into Midoriya's eyes. You got your quirk. So fucking what? Do you think changing your eyes color is some great shit? Don't you dare mock me, you shitty nerd." He shouted the last insult and turned, walking away and leaving Midoriya sighing. "I need to go home so I can research something about eye-related powers. I can't waste any time since I have only 8 months to the UA's admission exam. I need to figure exactly what this power is before going there. I guess I'll let Mom know today as well." He was already walking again, an involuntary smile on his face when he imagined his mother's reaction to the news. "I am here." All Might just stormed out of an alley, blocking the boy's passage. I found you, Shonen. Good. Midoriya just looked at him with a strange feeling of deja vu. Shonen, I came for you so I could make a proposal. You see, if I hadn't heard your story, if I hadn't witnessed with my own eyes, I would be nothing but fake muscles and insincerity. Fake muscles, insincerity, what? Midoriya thought while trying to make sense of his words. I'll show you, but don't post on the internet or something like that, okay? After saying that, he disappeared in a cloud of dense steam and a skeletal man appeared with the same clothes he was wearing. Huh, that was all Midoriya could say. I am sure you, as a fan, also sees me as the symbol of peace. But the truth is that I'm not what I used to be. This is my real form. What you saw was nothing more than an illusion. I do that every dar form as if I was wearing a costume. Just like those swimmers who puff their chest trying to look imposing. I got seriously injured during a fight 5 years ago and lost my stomach and most of my respiratory system. The surgery was tough and now I can't perform my hero job as a full-time activity. Midoriya was just staring at him and at the scar he was showing, but instead of being shocked by all that and by the impressive scar, Midoriya was remembering something that happened this afternoon. I couldn't help but feel inspired by you. Someone who, for all purposes, doesn't have a quirk, was the one who acted. Your will spurred me to action. Most of the top heroes show signs of greatness even as children. Many of them claim that their bodies simply moved before they could think. That's what happened back there with you, right Shonen? I can say for sure. You can be. Let me stop you for a second, All Might. While the wind brushed leaves all around, messing the boy's hair, All Might's smile slowly faded away as he looked inside the boy's eyes. Midoriya knew what his next words were going to be, so he stopped the number one hypocrite hero. I imagine this wound to be related to your fight against Toxic Chainsaw 5 years ago, right? I don't know the exact extent of your injuries, so I can't say for sure which were your motives. What I'm trying to say, he took a deep breath and continued. After we talked today, and you told me I couldn't become a hero, you said that a pro hero always has to be ready to risk his life, didn't you? I did, but I don't know how, but after all those things you said, somehow, I miraculously awakened my quirk. Wow, that's amazing, Shonen. Yay. Although I cannot completely control it yet, I got a glimpse of what it can do, and what it can do is allow me to examine things very well. I can see a lot of details in a very short period of time. Could you guess what I saw today? All Might saw that something was different on the boy's face. It was nothing like the face he made when they first met. Back there he was blushing and smiling, reacting like a fanboy, but now he just looked sad and disappointed. I couldn't know, Shonen. The funny part is if you never showed me this form of yours, I would never know. I saw everything. All the heroes standing while the villain tried to take control of Kachan's body, all the people in the crowd. Mount, Lady, who instead of shrinking to get to the fight faster so she could use her quirk after getting there, preferred to play dumb and watch. All the pro heroes who remained still while all they should have done was to work together. Somehow, I can remember all their faces, including the faces of every person in the crowd. And at the moment I passed through them, I saw you. I saw you next to a light pole. However, back there, you were just a random citizen to me, because you were in this form, but now I understand that you were there the whole time. Deciding if you should help him or not. Deciding if you should let him get killed or not. All Might's face showed surprise as he saw the boy walking again passing by him. He wanted to explain the situation but the boy spoke louder, looking over his shoulder once. I won't tell anyone about you in this secret, so don't worry. Thank you as well. If it wasn't for our encounter, I would still be the same naive person I was. All Might couldn't help but worry about that boy. Something was definitely wrong there. Shonen, did something happen to you? You seem way different from our first encounter. I guess my power is not the only thing that awakened today. The name is Midoriya, by the way, Midoriya Izuku. Do not forget that, the fiercely thought. He never looked back as All Might just watched the boy disappear at the next corner, wonder. What exactly awakened today besides his quirk? The moment Midoriya arrived home, he saw a note from his mother on the table, saying she went out to buy groceries and would be back soon. He went straight to the bathroom and looked into the mirror. He didn't spot any changes on his face, so he tried a few things. First, he tried to activate his power with only one eye, but nothing happened. And he tried to activate his power without closing his eyes, and as he was looking at the mirror from up close, He felt like the mirror started to shrink, as the same effect from earlier happened again. But he didn't close his eyes this time and saw his iris becoming red. The red was too vivid. So vivid that he noticed his eyes were slightly glowing, allowing him to see something around his pupil which became strangely small. He leaned closer and saw one black dot outside his pupil with the shape of a comma or a swirl, like a mark or something, making a diagonal alignment with his pupil, like two black dots. He didn't remember having any markings on his eyes, but he left that question for later. He took a step back and saw how the red didn't fit his face at all, but he couldn't despise his amazing power, no matter what it was. It was his and he would find a way to turn it into the greatest quirk ever. He heard his mom arriving. "Izuku, you're home." "Here, I'm coming," he said, switching off the red and seeing the familiar green take its place. Inko threw a small dinner party to celebrate her son's new power and his decision to apply for the UA Academy. Hours later, Midoriya was in his room, typing and clicking like a madman, his face too close to the computer screen as he desperately tried to find any information about his power, but nothing popped out. His room, which was X's severely full of All Might's toys and posters, had just one gigantic box now, with all of it stuffed inside. After taking everything off, looking at the clean walls and shelves, he felt something odd. A strange feeling, like he had won something, not lost. In front of his computer, he let out a sigh and pushed himself away from his table, making the chair move, ending in the middle of the room while looking at the ceiling. It can't be. He closed his eyes for some time, thinking while leaning back in his chair. He looked at his clock on the nightstand a few minutes later and saw that he had been at it for almost 5 hours and still nothing relevant appeared. He then started muttering, tipping his finger on his chin. "I can't believe ocular powers are so rare. There has to be more, right?" The sole example known as UA's teacher Aizawa Shota aka Eraserhead. "Even after narrowing my power to the emitter type, I still can't find any examples of ocular powers that enhance the senses. Most of them are physical powers that belong to the transformation type." Midoriya stopped and went back to his computer, trying another type of search. He tried to go for the broad terms. He typed red eye, ocular power, enhanced senses in the search bar and got a bunch of fake red eye contacts, a few strange Googles linked to cosplay, and even a guy who was probably trying to sell drugs. Nothing made sense until he found a store's website called The Old World. He clicked and saw that was an antique store selling vases, amulets, books, and more. He kept scrolling and right before he decided to close the tab, he saw a picture of the insides of the store and opened it in a new tab to zoom in. The picture showed the store and he could see a frame with an oil painting being displayed, but what caught his attention wasn't the painting itself but the eye color of the people displayed in it. All the people displayed in the painting had either red or white eyes, and that couldn't be a coincidence, right? Midoriya wrote the address. It was almost out of town, but he still needed to check it anyway since that was the only lead he had for now, but it was almost daybreak so he decided to get some sleep and find some answers later on. He started closing tabs and the last one was from today's news. He took a minute looking at his slightly blurred face again and the article's title, Unknown Middle S. Jeweler helps pro heroes defeat criminal. He closed the tab and jumped on his bed, unable to stop the smile spread. He didn't do that to help them. "I just did what I was born to do." Across the city, the TV was broadcasting the same story. But the two people watching weren't looking at the title or to the villain's face. They were more interested in the part where the teen shouted to the trashy heroes. "What an interesting kid," Shigaraki Tamura said while narrowing his eyes. "Yes, interesting indeed," Kurogiri recognized, pausing the TV at the moment the boy looked at the crowd, his red eyes glowing, full of rage. The school was chaotic the next day since all of a sudden, Midoriya was a celebrity. Somehow, people discovered that Bakugo was the one who was held hostage and that Midoriya was the one who saved him. Bakugo looked like he was going to have a stroke, but kept his mouth shut all the time, perhaps because of what happened yesterday or maybe because of Midoriya's response to all the attention he was getting. Midoriya knew that most of those who came trying to pat him on the shoulder, shake his hand or even exchange cell phone numbers, were the same people who laughed at him a few days ago after the teacher asked if he applied to go to the UA. Now, just because he made it into the news, they all suddenly liked him. That made him even more aware of how nasty people could really be. He didn't shake anybody's hands, didn't leave any open body language that could indicate they were allowed to touch him, and said his number was exclusively for family and close friends. 2. The few that treated him like a normal human being before, he explained without giving major details about what happened and about his quirk. Lunch hour finally kicked in and he almost ran out of class. He made his way to the roof using an alternative route, away from the corridors where even students from other classes were trying to see him. The boy with an unknown quirk who saved the great back, Yu-Gi-Oh! Katsuki, while fighting side by side with All Might. As far as delusions and rumors go, their delusions were getting a little out of proportion. He arrived at his usual spot on the roof, in a corner, protected of the sunlight, and started eating his bento, but after just a few seconds, he stopped the chopsticks halfway to his mouth and asked as if someone was there with him. "For how long are you planning to stay there? Looking at me like a creep?" He started chewing again, as an indistinct shape passed by and landed by his side. "Now that you got your fucking quirk, you're talking big, huh? Maybe I should teach you a lesson about how changing your eyes color isn't a fucking quirk at all, just a fucking joke." "Please, go ahead," Midoriya said, still eating, pissing off Bakugo, who heated his right hand, spinning his body to make a swing, but when his palm was about to touch Midoriya's face he deviated it, creating a small explosion towards the wall, followed by a tiny smoke screen. Had blocked his vision of Midoriya's expression. When the smoke vanished he expected to see his red eyes again, but just saw the green-haired boy staring at him with his eyebrows up, still chewing. "Are you finished? I want to eat in peace." "Kachan." Bakugo got straight and instead of leaving, leaned on the wall next to where Midoriya was sitting, his arms crossed on his chest, asking, why? Oh, you fucking know I was up there watching you?" he asked with a different voice, still aggressive, but with a lower tone, more controlled. "Well, this is new," Midoriya thought. "I just knew. I felt your presence. I guess that's too vague, Deku. What exactly is this shitty quirk of yours, huh? I got it for one day and you already expect me to know everything about it?" "I don't know what it is yet, but I'll let you know firsthand when I do, don't worry." "Oh, is that a fucking threat, Deku? Are you trying to pick a fight with me?" Bakugo said, smirking, and his hands started sparkling. "Mido." Ria had finished his bento and after brushing the dust off, stopped in front of Bakugo, saying, "Not at the moment, don't take too long or you'll be late." He went back inside, leaving Bakugo alone, asking himself who the fuck was that and where did the real Deku go? Damn nerd. While going downstairs, Midoriya felt the adrenaline running through his body. He could finally stand his ground against Bakugo, his hands weren't shaking. He didn't feel fear, he didn't even feel troubled when he was attacked. He passed by a window and saw his reflection, surprised to see a smile on his face when he didn't even notice he was smiling. This is the best. It was almost nightfall when Midoriya arrived at his destination. He had to take the subway and 2 buses to get here in this remote area. He saw the store from the internet ahead and picked up the pace, thrilled by the remote, yet real chance to discover the secret about his powers. He got in and was greeted by an elderly man. "Irishamus." Midoriya started wandering inside the small shop, looking for the painting on the walls, but after seeing nothing, he went back to the cashier, asking, "Excuse me, sir. Good evening, my name is Midoriya Izuku and I saw a painting on your website, but I can't find it here. It was some kind of family portrait where they had red and white eyes. Would you possibly know where it is? And why are you looking for that specific painting, Midoriya Izuku?" Midoriya didn't want to talk about his quirk with a stranger, but lying was also uncomfortable, so he just omitted part of the truth. "I wanted to see it from up close and buy it, but if it was sold, there's nothing I can do." He waited and the old man just smiled. "You'll have to do better than this to convince me. If you want someone's help, you shouldn't lie. It's just rude. Tell me what you really want with that painting and I may still help you find it." Midoriya pondered for a few seconds and decided to tell him the truth. It wasn't like he was going to be mad after knowing, right? Also, it looked like this man knew a few things if he was fishing for information like that. "It's about my quirk. My quirk awakened yesterday and I couldn't find any information about any similar power anywhere else. After I saw the portrait online, I came here to check if that portrait has something to do with me. And why would that be the case? Why would this portrait have anything to do with you?" The old man waited for Midoriya's answer with an educated smile. "This is the only place where I saw something similar. Precisely on that painting. The man just raised his eyebrows and he signed, giving up on the evasiveness, briefly closing his eyes, activating his power. The old man's eyes almost popped out when he saw the red glow. Asking with a weak voice, "It can't be, you must be joking, how, what's your name again, boy?" Midoriya Izuku. Midoriya was also a little jumpy because of his reaction but kept his cool. Seeing something on the man's expression change, he looked away and back at the man, seeing a grim flash through his face. And hell broke loose. The old man, who was probably 70 or something, jumped over the counter while delivering a rounded kick, which was dodged by Midoriya. The poor boy didn't know what to do right now. He put some distance between him and this crazy geezer, noticing he knocked down some bookshelves when dodging the first kick. "Ojiazin, what the hell are you doing?" The old man just lunged at him, with a storm of punches and kicks, forcing Midoriya to dodge the incoming assault, knocking a couple of boxes and vases on the way. Midoriya was trying to understand how in the world he was so fast and what kind of style was that. Also, if he should engage before his energy ran out again, or if it would be wrong to hurt an elderly person, even if he was attacked first. Before he could decide, the geezer stopped and said while panting, his expression showing surprise as if he had just seen a ghost. "I can't believe it, Midoriya Izuku, right now I must give you two choices. These choices will dictate how your life will progress. If you choose wrong, you'll die a very miserable death, full of anguish and despair. And only two paths ahead of you. Would you like me to give you these choices, or would you rather leave this place without this burden? Consider your position carefully, because once you know, you won't be able to leave this behind. Is this a joke, a scam? It doesn't look like one, but I have a terrible feeling about this. Even so, I can't turn back now. Maybe he really knows something about all this. What will you do when I answer?" "Oh, don't worry, I won't attack you anymore." "Okay, then I would like for you to give me the choices, sir." "First, sorry about that, I had to be sure that you never mind, follow me." Midoriya saw him moving around the store and began to lift the bookshelf he knocked down. But the geezer just said leave it as he walked towards the entrance of the shop. He went to the glass and turned the sign to closed, turning the lock, walking back fast-paced towards the back, where he pulled 3 books from a shelf starting a gear noise. Suddenly, the bookshelf moved out of the way, revealing a hidden door and a staircase to a lower floor. Midoriya was a little reluctant to follow the crazy man downstairs, but he had to know the truth. They walked down a spiral staircase too quickly, and once or twice, Midoriya had to grab the man by his shoulders to prevent him from falling all the way down. Maybe that brief fight they had left him a little off balance. "We're here, boy, get the lights on your left. Right there, on the wall." As soon as Midoriya switched the lights on, he saw an enormous oval room with bookshelves within all its extent. Between the bookshelves, he saw numerous paintings and on the far right side, he saw something that reminded him of an operation room. Isolated by plastic walls, a table on its center. Once he noticed that, he felt a shiver. I guess it wouldn't be a terrible idea to leave it on. I still can't see this man's true intentions, so I should keep my guard up, Midoriya thought after a quick look around, switching his power on. He then noticed the man coming closer, asking while looking into his eyes, "How do you activate it?" He was with his hands behind his back, an excited look on his face. Midoriya couldn't decide what he should do or what he should tell, but the man said as if he could read his mind. "Yo, you are free to leave if that's what you want. You chose to come down here by yourself, so don't worry, I won't try to hurt you." "I couldn't, even if I wanted to." Midoriya pondered that for a few seconds, deciding that his words made sense. He turned his power off again and answered the question. "The first time, the power turned itself on. And the first time I had to turn it off, I just felt inside my mind. I don't know how to explain it. It was like closing your eyes, but you don't actually close your eyes, you feel some kind of imaginary second pair behind the first and you blink them, so they can turn off. I don't know if that's the best explanation, but it's the only one I can think of right now. Now, I just use this blink when I want to turn it on and off and the quirk obeys. It's like you're telling your power to start and to stop. When I was a child, I was told my quirk was always here, but they couldn't classify it as an emitter, transformation, or mutant type. Yesterday I was talking to someone and I suddenly felt a headache. After it happened, My eyesight became blurred and my perception changed, my iris becoming red. Somehow, I miraculously got my quirk. Some kind of sense enhancer. And this person you were talking to. Is this person still alive? Midoriya wondered why would he ask something like that. What a strange question to make. Yes, he is alive. Why? So, did this person physically or emotionally hurt you? Why was he asking those kinds of weird questions? It was like he knew what All Might did. Yay, how do you know that? He answered, remembering again how All Might's words destroyed his hope and broke his spirit for a few minutes. I can't believe it. I can't believe that after all these centuries, you suddenly were born with it. That's unbelievable. I'm sorry, Ojiazan, I can't keep up with you. You're talking about my quirk, right? Midoriya-kun, it's time to tell you the choices I mentioned before, and don't worry, you don't need to give me an answer. But you have to understand what they mean to you. Before we start, allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Hirotaka Shinji. Please, take a seat. He indicated a chair next to a table to the left, and as soon as they got closer to it, Midoriya saw the painting he was looking for hanging on the wall behind the table. It was bigger than he thought, and as he analyzed the people displayed, he felt a chill. A woman with white hair and long ears that reminded him of rabbit ears. Her eyes were white and Midoriya looked at her face for a few seconds before moving on. Below her and slightly in front, there were two young men. One with red hair and the other with white hair. Below them, there were two boys, slightly towards the red-haired one, both with black hair. Midoriya realized he was holding his breath because he couldn't take his eyes off the boy to the left. His eyes were red, just like his. He felt startled when Shinji said in a low voice, "Yes, the Moon family tree. Your family tree, boy. What do you mean my family tree? Are you telling me not way, am I somehow related to them? Who are they?" Midoriya was a little anxious, but the geezer Ust sat with a gentle smile and indicated he should do the same. He then started, "Do you like old tales, Midoriya-kun? The ones about our past? I don't know, I never heard many, just a few when as little in the ones we learn in school. I would like to tell you one. One that is called, The Myth of Creation. It may seem long, but bear with me." He cleared his throat and began. Our tale begins before creation itself. Before anything existed, 3 gods appeared on the high plane of heaven, Amenaminakanushi, Takamimusabi, and Kamimusabi. Somehow, these gods started to use their imaginati on to create the cosmos and the motion of the universe, and after an immeasurable amount of time passed, they created new versions of themselves, until 7 generations of new gods came into existence. This 7th generation was a special one. The 7th generation consisted of 2 deities, the male god, Izanagi, and the female goddess, Izanami. Those 2 received the task to make a form of the chaos that was Earth, by the elder gods. They started trying to create things, seeking to have children, but after failing twice, they felt something was wrong with them. Their failure showed up in the form of their children, who were born without arms, legs, eyes, ears, and most organs. They decided to send their children on wood boats down a river, so they could meet death and rest, while they turn. To ask the elderly gods what was wrong with them. The gods explained that the reason for their failure came from their own minds. When they started trying to create their children, they wished for distinct things. Izanagi asked for a strong boy, while Izanami asked for a smart girl. The inconsistency coming from both of them resulted in a child without any of the traces they couldn't agree on. After being instructed by those elderly gods, they finally achieved what they wanted. Their children were born and became the islands that are now Japan. From Izanami, the gods who were to shape this earth were born, the god of the wind, the god of the forest, the god of the trees and mountains, the god of the sea and other natural manifestations. On a faithful day, Izanami gave birth to the fire god, Kagutsuchi. And as he left her body, she was burned to death, making Izanagi so enraged, that he murdered his newborn son. From their bodies, various other deities were also born. Izanagi, unable to forget Izanami, traveled to the underworld in a desperate attempt to retrieve his beloved, but once he arrived in that strange place, he found himself lost in the darkness. After days of wandering, he finally found the shape of a he found her. The place was so dark, that even from up close, he wasn't able to see her face. He asked her to return with him to the world of the living, but she answered word that she couldn't return with him to the world of the living, because she had already accepted her fate and ate food from the underworld, binding her to that place forever. Seeing Izanagi's despair to that situation, she promised him she was going to ask for permission to leave the underworld to the lord of that land, and that he should wait there for her to return. She told him to not look for and at her. Days passed by, and Izanagi grew impatient, ending wandering again. He entered the mansion, looking for her, and once he found his beloved, Izanagi approached from behind her, desperate to see her face one more time. He took a comb from her hair, lighting it ablaze. She turned and he saw that her body and face were rotten, full of maggots and wounds. Lightning demons were clinging to her body, and he desperately fled after seeing her appearance, being chased by the demons under her command. She became enraged by the shame of being seen in that form. He managed to escape from that place and used a giant rock to seal the entrance to the underworld, leaving her behind for eternity. Then Izanami, who once was the goddess of creation, became the goddess of the underworld, or the goddess of death. After Izanagi returned, he found himself impregnated with darkness, so he decided to clean his body, to purge all the evil energy from that place, and as he washed his face, 3 new gods were born, from his left eye. The goddess Amaterasu, goddess of the sun and the day. From his right eye, the god Tsukuyomi, god of the moon and the night. From his nose, the god Susanoo, god of the seas and storms. Izanagi then stated that these 3 gods would reign over the high plane of heaven, labeling them as the most extraordinary gods ever created. He paused and Midoriya snapped out of this tale like he was brought back to the present. I wanted you to know how these 5 deities came to be. They're important to your past and future, Midoriya. The boy just waited in silence, his hands slightly sweating as Shinji resumed. The relationship between the 3 siblings was never perfect. One time, Susanoo killed a priestess from one of Amaterasu's temples, making Amaterasu hid in a cave in sadness, leaving the world in complete darkness for a long time. Susanoo then apologized by gifting her a weapon, which she accepted alongside with the apology, but as she received the gift, she also swore that their relationship would never be as deep as before. That's the reason the sunlight can only go to a certain depth of the sea, and the reason storms block most of the sunlight. Tsukuyomi, who was married to his sister Amaterasu, once attended a feast held by the goddess of food Ukemochi on behalf of his spouse. After arriving, Tsukuyomi watched the goddess create their feast. He became horrified as he saw the goddess spitting rice and fish from her mouth while pulling food from her other orifices. He was so repulsed by her methods that he instantly killed her. After Amaterasu learned what happened, she was horrified, using her power as a ruler to label her husband an evil kami, unworthy of returning to the high plains of heaven, condemning him to pursue her across the sky for eternity, resulting in the cycles of day and night that separated them forever. Tsukuyomi had a large number of children, and after a few generations, a few individuals from his bloodline became obsessed with the precept of heavenly power, wishing to use their blood to become gods. They named themselves the Moon Clan. Shinji took a few breaths and Midoriya wondered if he was okay. Sorry, our fight from earlier left me a little out of breath. It has been some time since I exercised that much. Now, continuing with our tale, we move to the second part of our story, the tale of the bamboo cutter. He leaned on the table and started again. Centuries after the birth of the Moon Clan, humanity finally came to be. One day, a couple that was returning home heard noises coming from the forest. Wandering for some time until they found a girl trapped inside a bamboo trunk, and with her, they found pieces of gold. The couple, that wasn't capable of bearing children, decided to take her as their daughter, taking her and the treasure to their village, where she was raised as one of their own. She grew beautifully, being courted by all the powerful men from Japan, including the emperor himself, who she rejected. Just like she rejected all the others. Every night people could see her looking at the moon while crying, but when asked, she didn't know the reason for her tears. One night, the villages awoken to see people coming from the sky to take her back, claiming they were her people and she was their princess. They said she was sent to Earth to be protected from a heavenly battle, and the gold sent with her was meant as payment to the humans for her stay. She was taken and never returned. Her name was Kagaya, Princess Kagaya. What they didn't know was that Kagaya, in her time on Earth, had found something. Shinji got up, walking to a nearby door, disappearing from the view, returning a few seconds later with a bottle of water and 2 cups. He filled a glass and, after drinking, continued. Sorry, where did I stop? Ah, yes, on her time on Earth, Kagaya heard tales about some forbidden fruit. Humans said the fruit came from a sacred tree, and that eating would mean damnation to anyone. She heard tales from others about how the fruit was cursed, but she went and ate it anyway. After eating the fruit, instead of dying, she developed incredible powers connected to nature. Being able to create and manipulate a new kind of energy that represented the life of all beings. Later, that energy came to be known as chakra. The woman you see in the painting is exactly who you think she is. She is the Princess Kagaya. Midoriya was slowly shaking his head, disbelieving everything he just heard. That's impossible. You're telling me I'm a descendant of a goddess? This isn't a manga or a novel. This is the real world. Are you for real, Ojiazan? Yes, this is the truth and our tale still hasn't reached its peak yet. Listen. He placed his hands on the table and resumed. Kagaya originated the chakra or the vital energy of all the human individuals, and this energy could be manipulated by a few of these humans after intense meditation and training. These special humans destined to control and manipulate the chakra were named shinobi. You probably saw a representation of them in movies or books, I'm sure of it. These people learned how to manipulate energy to the extent they could also create and manipulate natural powers, such as wind, fire, lightning, water, light, darkness, earth between others. They were the legacy Kagaya left behind, but she had another secret. She also left 2 more secrets behind. 2 sons, 2 boys that she created after eating the fruit, using her goddess ability. After their mother's disappearance, they grew apart from each other, parting ways at an early age. The one with white hair inherited the first ocular power called Byakugan from his mother Kagaya, becoming the founder of a clan named Hyuga. His dance inherited the ocular power as well. The Byakugan allowed them to see through objects and long distances, see chakra inside people, and have a 360 field of view around their own bodies. This power had further evolutions, but all information past this point was lost. He pointed to the other brother on the painting. The one with red hair had 2 sons who were named Indra and Asura. Those 2 started a curse between them, a curse that affected all their descendants, leading them to always end up fighting and eventually killing each other. Indra was the one who inherited the second ocular power from his grandmother Kagaya. Called Sharingan, he created a clan named Uchiha and his brother created the clan named Senju. For centuries, their sons and TLE against each other, until 2 of them somehow broke the curse. Their names were lost throughout the ages and the only thing remaining from them is a sword, that was supposedly wielded by the Uchiha brother and a white cape with the word 7th on it. That was used by the Senju. Midoriya was stunned by this crazy story. He looked at the painting again. His eyes locked on Kagaya until he reached Indra. No one knows exactly how or why, but the shinobi were extinct. So the few people who knew their true story remained and made a vow to pass that information to the new generations, so they would never be forgotten. Nowadays, is all nonsense or just a fairy tale to tell children, but centuries ago, all of this really happened. The living proof is right here in front of me. The last known Uchiha was a woman who became the chief of her village. I believe the term they used isn't chief but kage, that means shadow, a title offered to the one responsible for leading their shinobi village. Her name was also lost, the only information is that she wore glasses. But if this happened years ago, why is this happening to me now? And why is this my quirk? After all this, Midoriya-kun, I have a theory that could be wrong, but I believe this power you possess. I believe this power isn't your quirk. Huh, what are you saying, Shinji-san? I have the joint on my pinky. I'm not saying you don't have a quirk, I'm saying these eyes can't be a quirk. They're an ancient power called dojutsu, something you inherited from the gods, something holy, something forbidden. And this finally brings us to your choices. Midori. Ya looked at him again and waited for the worst, after his sudden change of subject. You have what was once called Sharingan, the eye of insight and hypnotism. Those small dots inside your iris are called Tomo. These markings represent the evolution of your Sharingan, and since you currently have 1 Tomo, you can evolve it 2 more times. The exact power of your eyes is unknown to me, but they possess one last written information. The Sharingan is the eye that reflects the soul. A long time ago I saw a line where someone referred to it as the curse of hatred. They called it like this because Southeast the only way to activate your Sharingan is by experiencing loss or stress related to a significant person. The common knowledge in the book said to kill any Uchiha on sight because they're a cursed bloodline. It's written that they're individuals who get stronger by being hurt and losing their empathy and love towards the world and the people. They're destined to become villains, so they must be eradicated. The stronger the Uchiha is, the colder he already became after the things he experienced to achieve such power. That's why I shall tell you this: your bloodline is cursed. You have two paths ahead of you, young man. One leading to power, but this path will consume everything you hold dear, including yourself. The other, leading to happiness, but this path will leave you weak, and someday, somehow, that weakness may hurt you too. Think carefully about your fate, because this world has amazing powers, but none can be compared to your eyes. Of course that having these eyes don't instantly turn you into an Uchiha. Over 2,000 years passed, so who knows how they mixed their blood and how many new clans were created. You could be something completely new, but as far as history tells, this is the only name we have to specify what your power is. As I can see, the similarities indicate this can only be a dojutsu. Now, I'll get you two items that have been passed in my family for generations. I'll be right back. He left through a small door between the bookshelves and Midoriya's mind started racing as he got up, approaching the painting. Their predecessors looked imponent, powerful, fearsome, and godlike. What should he do now with these choices? I don't want to be weak. I want to be a hero, someone who can save others with a smile. No. Someone who can save others no matter what. I wonder what will be the cost for me. What am I going to pay for this power if I choose to embrace it? What am I going to become? I don't want to become a villain either. He was lost in thoughts when Shinji returned, placing a small red book on the table and a thin-shaped package covered by cloth, tied with strings. This book is to be delivered to those of the cursed lineage. What they may do with such knowledge is up to them. After saying that, he pushed the book towards Midoriya, who grabbed it and softly touched its cover, which was made of red leather. The second thing, and I don't know the meaning of this, so you must figure it out by yourself. This item is to be delivered to the cursed lineage. What they may do with such item is up to them. He gave the wrapped thing to Midoriya, who undid the knots, revealing a simple but thin sword, long and sharp. What is this sword? So that's what it was. Huh, these markings, I'm sure of it. No one knows if this is true. But some said this is the sword that Indra yielded. Others said it was the sword of the Uchiha brother that broke the curse and achieved peace. And others said it was just a weapon that represents Tsukuyomi and the Moon Clan. Midoriya just nodded, imagining how this weapon could have thousands of years and still look brand new. I don't know how much time I have and I don't know anything that's written inside this book. So I'm happy that you appeared. They never allowed us to read anything in the books. It was the ultimate law in my family. I won't deny that I tried a few times, but the books never opened. The only ones who can read what's inside are the ones with such powers. The only thing I know is what my parents said to me, and what their parents said to them, and now, I'll recite to you. If the time comes when the dojutsu has awakened again, give the books to the chosen ones and tell them their tale, the books will tell the rest. The red book to the cursed, the white book to the gifted, and the purple book to the reincarnated. If the cursed one turns good, he has the soul of a king. If the gifted one turns good, he has the purest heart and the devotion of his people. If the reincarnated turns good, it would mean salvation to us all. His righteousness will bring the blessings of the gods upon us all. If the cursed one turns evil, he has the soul of his ancestors. If the gifted one turns evil, he has the heart of the devil and the fear of his people. If the reincarnated turns evil, it would mean the end to us all. His hatred will bring the wrath of the gods upon us all. Midoriya felt a shiver after hearing those words. It was like a prophecy. He looked at the time on his watch and got up, wrapping the sword again while getting up. I don't know how to thank you for all the information. Shinji-san, how much do I owe you for the book and the sword? The geezer laughed and grabbed Midoriya's shoulder, walking him towards the stairs. Your ancestors already paid mine, don't worry. Just promise you won't turn evil and it will be enough payment for me. Ha 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 ha. Midoriya was inside the shop again and heard the hidden door closing behind them. If I'm not here and you wish to go inside, the combination for the door are the books, cursed, gifted, and transcended. He pointed to the books and Midoriya nodded again, but didn't understand why would he come back. He helped clean and organize the fallen books, and as he placed his hand on the door handle, the man called and he looked over his shoulder. Get one thing inside your head, Midoriya. Why thing I just told you about the curse happened more than 2,000 years ago, and even there, the two reincarnated brothers broke the curse and achieved peace. If they took a different path despite the one imposed on them by fate, why couldn't you? This is not as simple as that. Ah, I wonder if I'll still be alive to greet the gifted and the reincarnated. Shinji-san, are you the last one of your family? Unfortunately, yes, I can't have kids and normal humans can these kinds of items. After I'm gone, I guess you're the last one who's directly connected to this world, meaning this store will be yours after I'm dead. Keep it neat, all right. Midoriya just smiled. Not noticing the old man was serious and saying goodnight, he walked away. The man waited for him to disappear to sit on his chair, his expression sinking. I'm sorry, young man, I wish our prophecies were wrong. I wish I could tell you, but sadly, we aren't often mistaken. He took out of his pocket a severed page Fr. An old book where he saw and read what was written centuries ago. If the reincarnated appears first, your God never died and returned for guidance in this new world. If the gifted appear first, rejoice. The future is bright, he will protect all of his people, even if it costs his life. If the cursed appear first, brace yourself. The darkness inside him may reign over the earth. After getting off the second bus, Midoriya walked, unaware of his surroundings, thinking about the past, the present, and the future. The sword was tied on his back by the strings attached to it and the book inside his hoodie pocket. He wanted to get home so he could read the red book, but he heard something before seeing anyone in front of him. It was a boy of his age, but he was a mutant type, his head was like a crow's or a falcon's head and something big was behind him, attached to his body. The strange boy looked up and said between his teeth, Run, I can't control him. The strange being looked like a giant version of the boy's face, like a giant black crow made of dust, iron. What was that strange black substance? Midoriya had one insight and understood. That thing, somehow, was made of darkness itself. That quirk amazed Midoriya, his hands moving like he was going to grab his notebook, but he remembered he left it at home. Suddenly the giant beast attacked, but the advance wasn't that fast. So Midoriya easily dodged it, without even having to use his power. That thing was faster at the moment it started the attack but ended it staggering twice. Was that his doing? I guess he still got some control over it. Well, enough to slow it down at least. Midoriya quickly analyzed, as the monster turned and advanced again, missing him and colliding against a light pole, bringing it down. This is like a puppet that got out of control. Wait, if you want to stop a puppet, all you need to do is to stop the puppeteer. Midoriya ran towards the boy who was grinning his teeth, which was strange since he had a beak. Delivering a high kick to the side of his head, knocking him out cold. He looked at the monster and felt a chill. The giant crow was just standing there, staring at him with a calm expression. His eyes fixed on Midoriya and on what he was doing. That was so creepy that he felt his entire body shiver. The monster then laughed and shouted before lunging at Midoriya again. Ha 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 ha. RHG. Yes, I'm finally free. Let's have more fun, more fun. Midoriya quickly realized his mistake. This wasn't a puppet at all, this was an independent entity. Monster's speed was at least tripled and he struck a punch to the side of Midoriya's face, who blocked with his arm in the last second, activating his power after being thrown away. He checked the monster for vulnerabilities, but couldn't see any changes he could spot right away. Maybe it was smaller. He didn't have enough time to think about that since the creature came again, but now, he wasn't that fast anymore. Midoriya easily dodged and after a direct attack, he noticed something. Why is that thing attacking with such a strange pattern? It's like he's dodging from something that's in the way. The dark entity came again, doing the same strange movement, and Midoriya finally understood after dodging once again. That monster won't pass through the light coming from the pole. He's making turns to avoid getting under it. But why? Wait, if he's made of shadows or darkness is only natural that he would be afraid of lights, right? He just passed below the light coming from the pole and instantly retreated. It makes sense. Let me put this to the test. Midoriya took the initiative and lured another attack from the monster, and as he suspected when he entered under the light, the dark being instantly retreated. Okay, I got you. Now, how should I stop you? I need more light. And he saw that the second attack left a broken pole on the ground next to the boy's body and that the light was still on. Midoriya ran towards it, but the monster followed his gaze, understanding what he was trying to do, cutting him off, standing between him and the light pole, but Midoriya threw a feint, breaking his ankles. If he had any, grabbing the piece attached to the lamp, turning toward the beast that screamed and started to gradually shrink, going back to its master's body. The metal was hot and burned Midoriya's hands, but he kept holding the lamp toward the boy for a few more seconds, just to be sure, and after the monster disappeared, he left the lamp on the ground, facing them. As he went to wake up the passed-out teenager. "Hey, can you hear me? Hey." He tapped his shoulder a few times and held his head while the boy opened his eyes, still foggy. Wah what? Dark Shadow, stop." He tried to move, but Midoriya held his head while also shouting, "Stop, you got kicked in the head, don't move for now, and just wait. That thing has gone back inside your body. How did you defeat Dark Shadow at night? How?" By his voice, he sounded impressed. I used light and he retreated. Wait. Does it have a name?" "Yes, he is my quirk, Dark Shadow. My name is Tokiyami Fumikage. I'm sorry about what happened. I rarely go out after dark, but as long as I keep under the lights, I'm usually okay. The problem was that those two back there exploded. After a circuit was fried and Dark Shadow took over me. Thanks for the help, you saved me." He tried to get up again, but Midoriya explained. "Wait just a little bit, I need to immobilize your neck. I kicked you pretty hard. Sorry about that, there's no need, look at my neck." Midoriya saw a red choker to keep his neck up and exclaimed "ah" while letting go. Tokiyami sat and checked Midoriya, who was grabbing his fallen package. "What's your name?" "Oh, sorry, I'm Midoriya Izuku, nice to meet you," Midoriya said while approaching, offering his hand to get him up. "Yay, you too," Tokiyami answered, grabbing his hand to get up, suddenly losing his balance for a second, putting his hand on the side of his head. "Holy, you weren't kidding when you said you kicked me hard, huh?" He blinked repeatedly. "I'm sorry, I thought that if you went unconscious, the Dark Shadow was going to disappear. It was a good call, and he would have returned if it was daytime, but at night he turns into a demon. Completely out of control, releasing power enough to maintain his form by himself. Wow, this doesn't sound terrifying at all. Hey, oh, damn, it's getting pretty late and I still have a train to catch. I'll be taking my leave." "Where do you study, Midoriya?" "Oh, Aldera Junior High." "You, Fukuoka Daiichi High. So, you're applying to UA next semester?" "Yes, and I guess you too, huh? With a quirk as powerful as yours, you should get in quite easily." "Speaking of it, you didn't show me your quirk, what is it?" I can't really show it to people. I'm sorry." He slightly bowed and Tokiyami just shook his head. "That's all right, sorry for asking. Well, Midoriya, I hope we meet again on the exams. Good luck and thanks again." "Yup, try to keep the things light, will ya?" He smiled and Tokiyami smirked back at his joke. "See you around." They turned and slowly walked away from each other. Midoriya stopped and looked over his shoulder, noticing that the boy was making sure to stop under every light for a few seconds. Midoriya checked his phone again and ran towards the subway. Hours later, back at home, he was lying down with his book in hands. Desi. Ding, if it was really a good idea to open It's everything I hold dear. That means my mom. I don't know if this power is going to somehow harm her, or if enemies will try to hurt her, but if I don't get stronger, I won't be able to become the hero I always wanted to be. I won't be able to protect anyone, including her. He then decided to go for it, but the book wasn't opening. What now? He tried to see but there was no lock. Then he looked at the symbol on the cover and realized it. After turning his eyes red, he tried again and the book opened without resistance. It was all handwritten using a dialect that resembled Japanese. So he tried to read it and guess the strange kanji scattered here and there. "If you are reading this, it means our blood runs inside your veins. I won't be in this world when this book is found. But I hope this can help you on your journey. I hope this can guide you in the right direction, but remember, destiny isn't written in stone. We all are what we want to be. We become darkness when we allow darkness to enter our hearts. It's your duty as a carrier of our blood, as a continuity of our legacy, to not lose yourself as your predecessors did. You are not a tool. You are not crazy. You are not a demon. You're an Uchiha, so wear that on your heart proudly and I promise you that everything will be okay. I wish you the best of luck in your path, Hop. This can be a beacon to someone in need. 9th Hokage, Uchiha Sarada." The next page displayed a hand drawing of this woman, Sarada. She was beautiful and indeed wore glasses. The next page was too thick. And Midoriya noticed that the page had been folded multiple times. He started unfolding it, and at some point, he thought he was seeing a map. A few seconds later, after opening the page at least a dozen times, he saw a genealogic tree of this family. His family. What? There's a time when only 2 men were alive. Huh, does this mean this one killed the other? Why did he kill the only one who had the same blood as him? Why? Oh, he is Sarada's father, Uchiha. Damn, I can't understand this kanji. Well, at least she had more children. 6. Huh, he unfolded more parts of the pape. But froze when he saw that 27 of them died at once, leaving the clan with only 2 people. He unfolded the last part and felt a strange kind of sadness when he saw the last 2 members, a mother and her daughter, marked as dead. He was tempted to write his name down but refrained himself. He didn't know for sure what he was and if these eyes were just a coincidence or not, but he couldn't be sure that he was from their bloodline. After a few more pages, he stopped as he arrived at the part he was looking for. The Sharingan. Well, let's see. Eye of Insight, yeah, that's the one I've been using all this time. Eye of Hypnotism. Ear. The user can inflict confusion on the target after eye contact. The Eye of Hypnotism can be activated at the 2 tomos mark. What in the world is this? Real hypnotism. If they look in my eyes, I can hypnotize them. I guess I need to check this when I get 2 komas. What is this? 3 tomos will take you to the highest level of the Sharingan. He passed one more page and saw one name that was slightly blurred, but he could still read it. Mange. Mangekyu. The evolution of the normal Sharingan towards true power. Okay, how do I get you? How? Oh, here it is. Requirements for activation. The next page was torn. He could see that the next 3 pages were torn. Why? What could a Mangekyu be, and why is it so dangerous that even an Uchiha don't want me to use it? He continued to the end and saw 3 severed pages stuck to one another. He could read the titles. The first, Mangekyu Sharingan. The second, Fumetsu Mangekyu Sharingan. The third, Rinnegan. Okay, what now? He decided to start with the first. The Mangekyu is the strongest power of the Uchiha. Alright, show me what you got. He raised the page and started reading. After awakening, the user develops subjective powers, which may differ from other Mangekyu users. The left eye of an Uchiha is focused on ninjutsu, while the right eye on genjutsu. The eyes can develop distinct paths, or they can be linked to the same power. They can also stray from the common path, appearing on an inverted side. The brothers ********** and ******** are the perfect examples. The oldest, ***********, had Tsukuyomi. One of the most powerful genjutsus that ever existed, capable of reality and time distortion. This power manifested itself on his left eye and the eternal flames of Amaterasu, on his right eye. Contrary to the usual pattern, the youngest, *************, had the eternal flames of Amaterasu on his left eye, and the full manipulation of those flames with his right eye, being capable of extinguishing the flames. Change its shape, intensity, and combine it within others' natural elements, something that was never seen before. S genjutsu was lacking, but his control over the eternal flames was nothing less than perfection, opposite to his brother who lacked control over the flames but had an extraordinary genjutsu. This example demonstrates how subjective and personal the Mangekyu can be, and how he may stray from what we know. I can't read this kanjis at all, this looks like a novel. I can't believe I'm not reading something made up. Every time I think the say are my relatives and that I also have this power, I feel like I'm going insane. There's no way such things like this can exist. The eternal flames of Amaterasu, endless black flames that burn the target forever, can't be extinguished. Tsukuyomi and genjutsus to hypnotize the target. And what is this now? What? The last and most powerful weapon of the Uchiha is Susanoo. The ultimate defensive ability, which can be evolved until it reaches the perfect balance between offensive and defensive capabilities. The gods Shinji-san told me about are all here. Amaterasu the goddess of the sun, so we have the flames. Tsukuyomi the god of the moon, so we have hypnotism. And Susanoo the god of the seas and storms that gives us what? Fighting capabilities. Okay, it's all well and good, but I want to know how can I get this Mangekyu? Oh, here it is. To achieve Mangekyu, one must kill the closest person to his/her heart. Midoriya's blood was drained from his face as he read that. He read again, just to be sure he was reading it right. To get stronger, he would have to kill a friend. A person close to his heart. His mother. This can't be. How can something like this exist? This surely is a cursed power. Oh my god. He kept reading while feeling nothing but shock. Although the Mangekyu is the strongest weapon of an Uchiha, its use will result in partial, followed by complete blindness. What? The blindness can be reverted by achieving Fumetsu Mangekyu Sharingan. I am scared to even look at what is required to get this. He turned to the second page and looked for the information. To achieve Fumetsu Mangekyu Sharingan, the user must implant both eyes from a close relative, preferably the brother-sister, resulting in the activation of the Fumetsu Mangekyu Sharingan, which can be used at full power. Without any limitations. What the h? This is just sickening. I should kill a friend and then rip my siblings' eyes out and implant them on me. What kind of shitty clan is this? He snuck a glance at page 3, regarding the Rinnegan, but the whole page was tainted, so he didn't bother to continue reading, tossing the book aside, trying to sleep without success. The irony of it was amusing. To become a hero, he had to become a murderer. Oh, and he also would need a sibling to get the eyes from, which means he could never achieve the Fumetsu. His options were limited to kill your mother and get blind. He felt trapped, without options. Then an idea appeared, and he grabbed the book, returning to the first pages. Of course, it was so obvious. Where was it? Here. 3 tomos will take you to the highest level of the Sharingan. Continuous use of the normal Sharingan doesn't affect the user's eyesight or the user's considerate larger amount of chakra. Also having less range and intensity on both ninjutsu and genjutsu. If I wanted, couldn't I just go for the regular one? It won't get me blind, I don't have to kill my mom, and I just need to master it and get used to it. The thing is, I won't develop like the others. But killing someone is out of the question. I can't be worrying about this right now, I need to focus on training. And I need to get my 3 tomos, so how do I train these? Oh, here it is. To acquire the second tomo, the user must train awareness, combat, and reflexes while the Sharingan is active, until exhaustion. To acquire the third tomo, the user must train awareness, combat, reflexes, and the use of the Eye of Hypnotism, while the Sharingan is active, until exhaustion. I guess this is my training schedule. I have 8 months to get physically stronger and to get to 3 tomos, I guess this shall be easy. But he noticed a small note below the instructions. The number of times the user is required to train is relative, varying from one individual to another. The base of each evolution converted from days into hours is the following: 2 tomos 2000 hours. 3 tomos 3000 hours. Midoriya threw the book on his desk and started the math on his head. Okay, 80, 81, 82, 83 days to get the second and 120. No, 125 days to get the third, making a total of 208 days. This gives me almost 7 months, but that isn't counting the sleep time or the school time, so if I take 8 hours of sleep and 5 to school, this takes me to approximately 2,000 more hours, totaling 7,000 hours. And I barely have 6,000 until the exams. Damn, what if I reduced to 6 hours of sleep and 4 of school by ditching? I would get 1.6. I guess I would go to 6.6 thousand. Well, that's close enough. Since this could take less time, I need to find any information about how I can improve this training. He regretted throwing the book away as he got up to pick it again. Rushing through the first pages until he found the instruction he needed, but there was no hint, so he returned to the basic instructions and found his answer hidden on a side note. The most reductive way to maximize tomos is through actual combat experience. Yep, this will do. He smiled and stashed the book inside his drawer with a solid plan inside his head. Tomorrow, I'll begin my path to turn this curse into a blessing. Single quote. After school time, Tokiyami Fumikage was casually walking home. He waved goodbye to a few classmates and was about to turn a corner when he heard someone calling him. He looked over his shoulder and saw the boy from last night, turning to ask. I wasn't expecting to see you so soon, Midoriya. Why are you here? I wanted to ask you something. Midoriya did a dramatic pause and smiled before asking, his eyes shining. Since you're also applying for the UA, would you be interested in training with me, so we can crush their exams, Tokiyami-kun? That sounds oddly interesting. All right, you have my attention. A security guard heard a loud noise, followed by a minor tremor coming from the old abandoned hangar out of his office's grounds. They told him the hangar wasn't part of his responsibility, but he wanted to check it anyway, so he went toward the building. The noises became louder as he approached, and fearing that a villain could be hiding in there, he took off his radio and spoke in an almost inaudible voice. Sakamoto, 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 god damn it, yo, don't yo me, what were you doing? Actually, never mind, listen, I heard something inside the old hangar. I'm going to check it. Okay, but why? Aren't you supposed to guard only the office? You're going out of your way on your first week. Just call the cops if I don't answer in a few minutes, okay? Whatever you say, Tanaka. The man named Tanaka walked slowly, hearing the loud noise again, like if someone had just exploded a bomb on the ground, making it shake a little. He took a deep breath before tilting his head to look inside, seeing something that made him frown. Two teenagers were fighting each other inside the hangar. One of them had a giant dark bird attached to his body. This boy was trying to crush the other that kept moving, faster than your average person, with strange steps, as if he had a movement enhancer or a speed quirk. Something about the way he moved reminded Tanaka of how an assassin would move. The abandoned hangar once was part of a giant airport, but after renovation, the runway and most of the hangars were destroyed, giving place to houses all over the place. But this hangar stayed as a deposit and now was empty and abandoned. He didn't want to meddle in their fight since he didn't have a quirk and they weren't really trespassing. But he noticed that what was happening between the two teenagers wasn't a real fight. One of them was dodging while the other was standing still, the only thing moving was his strange bird. To Tanaka, it looked like they were training. Midoriya was dashing around the place, dodging everything Dark Shadow was throwing at him, predicting his attacks that usually left a hole on the ground. He tried to push his concentration to the maximum by dodging everything, from punches to flying debris, while also attacking here and there. After Dark Shadow delivered a right uppercut followed by a left horizontal claw swing, Midoriya backflipped from the uppercut, instantly dashing forward, sliding past between his claws, stopping below him, and predicting his next attack, he dodged to his left with a pirouette. While Dark Shadow spun and struck the place he just stood, sending dust everywhere, Tokiyami noticed Midoriya's eyes glowing through the dust and tried to react in time, but it was too late. Midoriya concentrated, looking straight into Tokiyami's eyes while whispering, "Moonlight." Dark Shadow returned to his master, disappearing a few seconds later. Tokiyami was on his knees having trouble breathing, and Midoriya, realizing what he just did, ran to help him up while turning his power off. "Damn it, are you okay, Yami? Sorry, I was concentrating too hard. It doesn't matter how many times you use this on me. I cannot get used to it," he said while brushing off the dust and shaking his head. After a few seconds, he asked, "How long do you think this will take, Midoriya? I don't want to be the pessimist here, but we are running out of time and options." I know. The time limit I stipulated is almost up. We have only 3 weeks until the exams and I'm still stuck at 2 tomos, it's pathetic." Tokiyami frowned. "You must be joking, right? I would not go that far and called it pathetic. You move too fast despite you not having a movement-based quirk. No, thing can touch you when you are using it, and if someone looks directly into your eyes, they are gone. The moment you manage to master the lightning technique that I cannot record the name, you may become unstoppable." "You mean the lightning enhancement? That thing could cut through a tank. It was remarkable. You're really going to speak like we're in a vintage movie, Yami. Even when there's just the two of us. You do realize it's kind of annoying, right? I already told you my reasons." That was all he said and Midoriya shrugged. "Maybe you should let all of that go and be yourself. Quote, you may think that I'm becoming someone else, but this is who I am. I won't pretend as I did before. Not anymore." He looked away and remembered his first middle school year and the desperate need to fit. But the kids pushed him away, afraid of his evil aura, afraid of Dark Shadow, and especially afraid of Tokiyami's lack of control over his quirk. He decided to go ahead and embrace his dark side, being true to himself now. Understanding that his emotions were the reason Dark Shadow was out of control for all those years. He chose his new philosophy a few months ago when he said after finishing a training day, making Midoriya spit the water he was drinking, "I was always in the darkness, so darkness I shall become." Walk off. Calced confidence was enough to make Dark Shadow stronger. It w. As if the acceptance strengthened their link. His new way of speaking was something he always liked to do, but he forced himself to talk like a normal teenager to reduce the differences between him and his classmates. Midoriya recognized that look on his face and regretted making his friend remember those things. Sorry, I wasn't trying. I know, there's no need to apologize. And is it turning out to be effective? You just witnessed how big he has become, and my control over him has improved marvelously. I wish I had an offensive choice like yours, but it keeps bugging me. Have you ever considered using him as a defense tool? How so? Look, the first thing I thought to myself when we fought the night we met, was that you were a summoner or a puppeteer, so the common knowledge stated that if you go down, Dark Shadow goes down as well. This leads us to the problem. Since he's your offensive weapon, his lack of speed retracting back to you is a major problem if you stop to consider it. Imagine that I could just bait you into sending him as far as possible and go right at you afterward. It isn't viable to have a long-range weapon that leaves your body unprotected. You noticed how sometimes I can attack him and sometimes my attacks go right through. Why is that? Tokiyami held his beak and looked to the tiny dark shadow that resurfaced behind him, looking confused as well. I control Dark Shadow with my mind, so on the times he attacks using his claws, they indeed become solid, but I don't think specifically about this action. I don't know how his physics works, that's up to you. But how about a way to make him come back faster, or make his limbs stretch, so he could stay closer to you, not having to go too far, or maybe you could even stay inside him, hardening his body. Leaving his claws as mobile weapons, like armor with two extensible limbs, that would be amazing, but I guess it could have some negative effects such as movement restrictions or energy consumption. I guess you'll need some movement practice using the hardened body first, so you can look for parameters, but you would also be required to check the levels of. He kept talking, now staring at the ground, tapping his chin repeatedly. Tokiyami stared in silence as Midoriya started writing on his hand with an imaginary pen like he used to write in his notebook. Tokiyami chuckled before sighing. Midoriya, you're at it again, he snapped out of it, putting a hand over his mouth. Sorry, I got carried away, you gave me some interesting ideas, and I thank you. But it will take some time to put them to test. It took me almost 6 months to get full control over Dark Shadow in the daytime and some overnight. This makes me worry that I will be out of high school before I can get this far. I guess you just need to find the way to control the hardening consciously, using it to your advantage. That shouldn't take long. What about your lightning enhancement? That time when you applied it to your sword? That was something amazing to see. Tokiyami noticed but never asked about his sword or the reason for him to stop training with it. He sure could guess that after some consecutive failures, he gave up on even carrying it with him, making Tokiyami think how that was a shame since he was getting dangerously good with that thing. It was as if handling a sword was something natural to him. Wasn't the case today, since he brought the sword and left it aside, next to the wall. I brought it today, I just don't get it. My book specifies that I'm more likely to be compatible with fire, but I can't cast it using the words there. That time with the lightning was just luck. I don't even know how I did it. Shinji-san and I found and bought a few books that may contain more information about my power, but they're coming from somewhere in the US, and a few others from Europe, so I have no other choice than to wait for this information to arrive. And I do realize this is a long shot, but I have to know about what could be my only offensive weapon. Midoriya stopped mid-sentence and glanced at the door, feeling someone's presence there. He saw a man, wearing a uniform. Midoriya elbowed Tokiyami to look behind him while the guard came slowly, asking after looking around to all the ground destruction. What are you two doing here? And why are you damaging others' people's properties? Hello there, sir. My name is Tokiyami Fumikage, and this is Midoriya Izuku. Apologies, but we have been using this place as our training ground for more than half a year, and we did not do any damage to one single structure. Every day we finish by closing the holes with dirt, which also helps get rid of the grass growth. 2. Koyami said while Midoriya just nodded twice, making the guard frown to his composure and way of speech. Looking at you two, I can already tell you're training for the UA exams, right? I get it, you boys need a place to train. But you two were doing such a fuss that even the ground was shaking. Oh, Midoriya thought, we didn't know that. Sorry about the trouble, sir. Listen, we still have 3 weeks to go, and we would like to keep using this place if you allow us. We'll stop the noise, we promise. Midoriya asked, and the man scratched his head before answering. You two look like good kids. But I could get into trouble for this. So just promise me you won't damage anything and keep it quiet, okay? I'll leave you two to it. Sure thing, thank you very much. Absolutely, thank you. After Dark Shadow got the ground leveled, they headed out, thanking the friendly guard again. A very friendly guy. You're heading home now? Tokiyami asked after getting no response from Midoriya, who was looking at his cell phone with a dumb smile on his face. The books are arriving tonight, Yami. They went to the street and fist bumped each other. Midoriya looked at Dark Shadow's sad face and chuckled, fist bumping with him as well. Dark Shadow waved as they part ways. Good luck. Be sure to call if anything happens, Tokiyami said while taking the opposite direction. Midoriya didn't want to go home, so he decided to take a walk around town until he could go to the bookstore. He started his stroll, his sword on his back inside a shinai case. He was forced to use the weapon because of his weak offensive skill set, but the lightning changed everything. He saw in the red book that his predecessors had more affinity towards the fire, but one was mentioned to have an affinity to lightning. This individual and his connection to the lighting were so mysterious that it was written he tamed the lightning, but that had to be a kanji misinterpretation. One day, he decided to give it a try, just for fun. Ending up with a sword coated by energy. He felt the tingling sensation on his hand and arm, swinging the weapon, the destructive damage unparalleled. Since then, a few months have passed and he tried to repeat the process, but for some reason, he wasn't able to. He even started trying to get mentally stronger by meditating, which didn't solve the problem. It didn't solve the real problem too. The real problem was the third tomo. The book said he could improve his chakra limit to twice the amount he had right now, meaning double the amount of time he could keep his power active. So according to his math and the records on the red book, he speculated something between 90 and 120 minutes of constant use, double the amount he could use right now. Switching on and off turned out to be the perfect answer to the mind and body stress, allowing him to extend his power's use by picking the right times to apply it. He also decided to name his powers the very first month he started using them. At first, he was tempted to continue with the original name, but ultimately decided that he wasn't going to live in the past, he wasn't going to worship anyone anymore. To copy attacks and names as he did with all might. He was going to be himself and choose what made sense, the people that gave you your traits and peculiarities, but you shouldn't let them dictate your present and future. That's what Midoriya decided after hearing all those tales about curses and fate. Such thing as fate exists only if we believe in it, and if we don't, the choice is always ours. So fate decided that his power was bad, cursed. He didn't care, he was the one who got to decide that. Before changing his identity card, he had to provide his quirk specifications and a name for it. So he could either name it himself or have the name chosen by the association, based on its characteristics. After further thought, he called it Crimson Moon, a little trait to his ancestors and where they came from. He bought a cup of karage and sat on a bench to eat, looking around to the people passing by. Shinji-san told him months ago that all chakra and shinobi were gone from this world, but that wasn't true at all. He followed a girl with his eyes as she passed by. She noticed his stare and blushed, embarrassed after noticing Midoriya's intense glare towards her breasts, but the boy wasn't looking to anything lewd though. After activating the Crimson Moon, he had noticed a faint glow that he could see next to where her heart should be, like a small white flame. Some people had a bigger flame while others had a small one or even none. Midoriya sometimes could see that the flame fed tiny lines towards the whole body, but he couldn't see those very well. Maybe this is what chakra looks like. I should find a different name to it as well. While he was thinking about a name, he saw people chatting at the distance and smiled. One of the cool things he noticed after he got his second tomo was the improvement in the ability to mimic things. He could mimic movements so perfectly, that by doing so, he could actually read lips from afar since he could just mimic the movement of the target's lips and the words spoken would be mimicked by his lips. He could reproduce an entire conversation as long as he could see the person's lips, so this turned out to be a subtle but useful power he didn't expect to have. He could also mimic hand movements, meaning he was able to know what people were writing as well, but that had fewer applications. He started having some training on the mimic aspect, and to be fair, some fun as well. Of course I love you baby. Don't be silly. Yeah, I'm shopping alone, a girl was on the cell phone while walking hand given with a dude who had a nasty smile on his face. Wow, yay, did you see that shit? That page 9 was awesome, 2 boys talking about some manga, he could only see one. Please, hear me out. This world is nothing but a lie. We live inside someone's novel. This isn't the real world. We're trapped here to do his bidding, a guy was trying to speak to everyone passing by. That makes some sense if you think about it. Ah, who am I kidding? There's no way this world isn't real, right? I told you, make a fucking move and you and your family are all fucking dead. Did you hear me? Move. Come on. Walk faster, you little bitch. Midoriya froze as the words came out of his own mouth, but quickly recovered, getting up without thinking twice, throwing his empty cup on the trash can before following the man and the girl he just saw. They were using hats and sunglasses and the girl was grabbing her left arm with her right hand. Her entire body was shaking and Midoriya picked up the pace, spotting the perfect opportunity ahead. When they approached the place, he called out loud, "EY, is that you, Inko-san? Oh, it's really you. How have you been?" They stopped and the girl's eyes almost popped out after they turned. I'm sorry, you have the wrong P." Before she could finish, she noticed the boy's face and his strange red eyes. That look on his face made her lost her voice. He somehow gave the impression that he was some kind of villain, but at the same time, the air around him was reassuring. At that moment their eyes met, she felt in that instant that he knew her name wasn't Inko. This boy somehow knew what was going on. "Oh, I'm sorry, would you perhaps have a sister called Inko? The resemblance cannot be a coincidence," he said while approaching with a friendly smile on his face. The man started looking around, getting impatient, putting pressure on the girl's arm to make her end their conversation, but they already were too close. "No, I'm an only child, look. I have to G." She looked to the man and they were about to turn, but the man locked eyes with Midoriya and saw his smile instantly vanish. He felt the danger but couldn't react in time. The girl just felt a breeze passing by her face, messing her hair, taking off her sunglasses, instantly making the pressure on her arm disappear. She saw a glimpse of a shoe sole and a noise when the shoe hit the man's face. She looked to her left and saw the man flying deep into an alley which entrance they were standing right now. She turned her head again, to look at the boy, but he was gone. She blinked a few times, confused, and looked again to her left, finding him next to the man, already dragging him to an adjacent alley. She then started walking after him, arriving as he was placing the unconscious man next to a trash can. Turning to look straight at her, she saw his red eyes becoming green as if the color was being drained. That was fascinating. "Hi, my name is Midoriya Izuku. Don't worry, I know your name is not Inko. It's my mother's name." This may sound weird, but I was eavesdropping your conversation and heard what he was saying to you back there, so I wanted to help. Are you okay? What's going on with you and your family? They're going to kill them. I need to do something. She started pacing while moving her arms around. Calm down. Explain to me what's going on first so I can help you. Or maybe we can call the Pollock. No, she shouted, her face becoming white. Okay, no police, but you have to tell me what's going on before this guy wakes up. My name is Yaoyo, Rozu Momo, and I don't have much time left. They somehow entered our house a few minutes ago, and then, they took my parents and employees as hostages, demanding me to come with one of them to get titles, jewels, and money from our bank deposit. They said that if I refused, they would just start killing people. She was twisting her hands and Midoriya quickly analyzed the situation. She's right, police would mean game over. We need to do something. They gave me 1 hour to come here to take the valuables and go back with this guy. That was 10 minutes ago. I live close. Please, can you help me? Of course I'll help you. All right, let me think. Do you know anything about the kidnappers? No, they just came out of nowhere, wearing masks and sunglasses, disguised as some cleaning company. Damn, if I could get some information about them maybe I could. Of course, Midoriya said under his breath, and the girl looked at him with questionable eyes. He then knelt, shook the fainted guy a few times and he came to his senses, a little foggy. Wah, moonlight, Midoriya whispered, looking straight into his eyes, and the girl frowned to that strange word. The En's gaze locked onto the boy's face and he looked hypnotized, like a snake being charmed. How many of you are inside Yaoyorozu-san's house holding people hostage? 11. Yaoyorozu looked surprised by his straight answer. He looked drunk or drugged. Was that a mind control quirk? What about their quirks? How many have quirks and what are their quirks? Are they armed? 9. Have quirks. Electronic manipulation, flashlight fingernails, hardening limbs, metal forehead, communication interceptor, fire manipulation, gigantic arms, gravity bender and finger shaping. All armed with pistols. Midoriya was already with his finger on the quick dial to call Tokiyami for assistance, but those two with the flashlight and the fire quirk were going to put him in dark shadow at too much risk. Think, damn it, he whispered to himself, trying to focus, starting to feel worried about the time. 45 minutes left. Midoriya's expression cooled off as he pressed the buttons a few times and placed the phone in his ear. Speaking after a few seconds. Hi, Mitsuki-san, it's Izuku, could I please talk to Kachan for a second? Who is it? It's me, Kachan. Listen, I have a situation happening here. Deku, is that you, Deku? Why the fuck are you calling me? Midoriya could hear his mom shouting in the background. Watch your damn mouth or I'll kick your ass, Katsuki. Kachan, listen, I'm in an alley next to the West Park, the right side of the commercial district towards the subway. I need your help. How fast can you be here? Deku, are you fucking kidding me? You got some balls to call me and boss me around. I'll kick your ass next TI. Katsuki, I'm not joking around. A family is being held hostage and I can't call the police for help. I can't call anyone but you for help. Since you're the only one I have any quirk and combat information about. I need you to come here fast. We have less than 45 minutes until they start killing people. The shock of hearing his name being shouted and the urge on his voice made Bakugo quiet for a moment, so Midoriya repeated. Alley next to the West Park, the right side of the commercial district towards the subway, 44 minutes left. Use your quirk to get here if you have to, please hurry. He hung up and took a deep breath, looking inside the thug's eyes again, speaking out loud now, with resentment on his voice. Moonlight. The thug just stared back and suddenly collapsed, having a small seizure. A few seconds later, he fainted. That should keep him out for a few hours. What is this Moonlight you keep saying? Is this your quirk? It's hard to explain, but I guess you can say that. Well, I have a quirk too, I want to help. What can you do? After a small explanation, Midoriya thought about the possibilities but noticed a small, yet relevant detail. Please, don't be offended, but you're too scared right now to get inside. Although your quirk may help us, on a fight against fire weapons you would be more of a liability. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say anything by that. She looked heartbroken, but her hands kept shaking. I'm sorry about this, I just want to help you and your family the best way I can, and right now. This is the best way. She slowly nodded, but Midoriya could see that his words hurt her. Who do I think I am? I can't tell people what they can or cannot do, I'm not. Perhaps, if you could calm down a little, at least enough to think objectively, you can also help us. I know it's a hard thing to do right now, but try to relax so you can save your parents. Being afraid only gets in the way. Her face brightened and became serious shortly after. She nodded twice, her gaze showing resolve. Tell me, can you create bulletproof vests and a one-handed sword? I can do vests easily, I'm used to it. But a sword, I guess I can make a katana. I think I have enough to build a katana. I just need the measurements. Made of steel, right? No, made of pure silver. He looked at his cell phone again. 40 minutes remaining. 15 minutes remaining and Midoriya lost any hope that Bakugo would actually come, so he looked at Yaoyorozu and said while shaking his head. I'm sorry, I thought. I was sure he would come. We should go. We're almost out of time. I'll figure something out when we get there, for now. Oi Deku, don't you dare to make me come all the way here. And just leave, I'll kill you, asshole. Midoriya turned back and saw Bakugo, dripping sweat and out of breath. Kachan, you came. Ah, this is Yaoyorozu Momo, her parents are being held hostages, let's go. We'll explain everything to you on the way, Midoriya said while throwing a vest at him. It was already dark when they stopped behind a short wall, outside of an immense mansion. Trying to look through the windows for any signals of movement, Midoriya forced his power until his head hurt, but he was able to see the faint traces of their energy scattered all around the enormous house. It's a goddamn palace. Hey, are you some kind of princess? Before she could answer, Midoriya said while grabbing the sides of his head. There are 2 guarding the main entrance, 1 on the roof, 7 on the second floor. Inside that room, but 2 of them are sitting on a corner, so I believe these 2 are hostages, which makes 5 enemies, and 3 watching a numerous amount of people over there. On the other side of the house. I guess that's where the employers are being held. How could you know that? Yaoyorozu asked, surprised. My eyes can see quite a lot. She noticed. His eyes almost glowing and couldn't look away from his gaze. It was mesmerizing. After a few seconds, she finally looked away and pointed while explaining. That room is my parents' room. And that's where our kitchen is. She pointed to the windows where Midoriya saw the enemies. Is there an alternative way to get inside? Other than the main door? We should just blast all of them, eh? Why the hell are you the one calling the shots to begin with, huh? Bakugo went to grab Midoriya's collar, but the boy slapped his hand halfway. Not now, Kachan. We need to be smart. We need to divide and conquer. I think we should start getting the one in the roof first. He probably is the outside lookout, then the 2 at the entrance, the 3 with the employee, and the remaining 5 last. Why? Yaoyorozu asked, and Midoriya thought for a few seconds before pointing while walking them through. The lookout is outside to provide information to the ones inside, so he has to go down first or we won't even make it inside. The first 2 at the entrance because they are further away from both sides, look. They're right in the middle. Then the ones with the hostages in the bedroom last. That was amazing. They won't be able to see or hear one another being taken down. TCH. I can't get to the roof without making noise, so what the fuck am I supposed to do? Yaoyorozu-san, can you handle the one on the roof and meet us inside? Yes, I'll create a grapple gun or something similar. We have 11 minutes. The moment you take him out, we'll storm through the entrance and you meet us at the hall to guide us around the house. You sure you'll be okay? Yes, I don't even know how to thank you for doing this. Thank us later when we save everyone. Remember what I told you. Leave your emotions in check, be analytic and precise, we'll see you inside. She nodded with a determined look and jumped the wall, sneaking behind bushes, going to the left side of the mansion. Since we're dealing with bullets, let me go first, Kachan. I'm sure I can dodge and deflect in case anything goes south. I already told you to shut the fuck up. I'll blow you up if you keep giving me orders. You prefer to keep being an asshole than listening to me and doing this the safe way. I'm trying to prevent you from getting killed. I won't be the one responsible for telling Auntie you died today. So get a fucking grip. Bakugo felt stunned by the curse leaving Midoriya's mouth and turned his face away, saying TCH, but that counted as a yes at least. Midoriya pointed at the roof access and they waited until they saw an indistinct shape flying there, and after a few seconds, a girl waving her arms. Good job, Yaoyorozu-san. Now we're up. They rushed through the garden, reaching the front door in a few seconds. Midoriya looked around and found the faint glow he was looking for next to the door to his right, and the other lower to the left, maybe sitting or crouched. He touched Bakugo's shoulder and pointed him to go right and made a gesture with his hand forward while covering his eyes like he was blind. Bakugo understood the call to use his stun grenade and, despite being pissed, switched places and got ready. Midoriya carefully opened his shinai case and took out a beautiful silver katana made by Yaoyorozu, leaving the second one inside. He held it next to his belt and looked at Baku turning around. Bakugo kicked the door open, shouting with his arms open, one to each side. Stun grenade. Midoriya, who was already with his back turned, saw only the garden outside. And after the flash, dashed backward, spinning his body middle action as he moved to the left, giving a small glance to the right to see Bakugo hit the thug with a knee to the chin. Upon reaching the blinded guy who was raising his weapon on his left, Midoriya unsheathed his blade, cutting the pistol in two, missing the thug's fingers by inches, instantly placing his hand on the floor while spinning in the same place, letting his foot go up to the thug's face, who took the hit and stiffened before collapsing. Midoriya started checking the surroundings, but Rai Flame remained in the same place and he nodded once to Bakugo who was facing him with a surprised face. Deku, was that a fucking spinning kick? It's called grounded half moon, it's a Brazilian martial art kick. Very effective for quick knockouts. He answered distracted, looking around and grabbing some TV cables to tie the thugs down. Bakugo kept staring at him, remembering now that in the past last months, he barely saw Midoriya. Even in class, he was really quiet nowadays, and Bakugo realized now that he was very different. He was showing some agility he never saw before. His arms and legs used to be thin but were more muscular now. What the hell happened to him? What in the fuck are you doing learning these things, Deku? They waited for a bit until Yaoyorozu came tiptoeing, waving from the door on the right side of a giant staircase. You were quick. I tied the man on the roof and gauged him. Come, the place they're holding the employees is this way. They walked a lot, and Midoriya couldn't see the white flames anymore, but he kept his power on just in case. When they were about to make a turn, Midoriya noticed a small family portrait facing the incoming in corridor and saw in a small reflection that one thug was coming out of the room they were headed, so he quickly checked through the wall and the flames were back. One of those flames were moving, coming towards them. He reached forward and grabbed Yaoyorozu by her waist, just before she made the turn at the corner, and pushed Bakugo back with his left arm, their backs against the wall. Wah! Bakugo was surprised with the strength Midoriya shoved him aside using his left hand and noticed by his arm that Midoriya had been training his body hard and probably working out too, maybe even more than him. What else did he miss? Midoriya-san, Yaoyorozu asked, startled, blushing because Midoriya didn't let go of her while explaining in a whisper. Quiet, there's someone coming out of the room in the next corridor. He's headed this way, but the door is wide open, so if we take him out, the others may see. Oh, okay, she said, trying to ignore the hand, tightly holding her waist. His face right next to hers, while he kept looking through the solid wall. Unfortunately, the thug just stopped outside the room, not giving any indication he was going to move anytime soon, so Midoriya improvised. Yaoyorozu-san, could you make a fishing line or a transparent, strong string? Something barely visible that I can use to bring down that portrait. Yaoyorozu nodded, still very blushed, and Midoriya noticed what he was doing with his right hand, instantly letting go of her. Sorry. He looked back at Bakugo, blushing as well, and the boy was smirking for some reason. Yaoyorozu just shook her head a few times and made the line with her arm. Midoriya made a nod, and after the third throw, the line went around the portrait. He slightly pulled, and the frame fell towards them, landing outside the corridor. They heard a loud male voice. What was that? Just some painting that fell down the corridor, it's nothing. Go check it out, and since you'll be there, go grab some food from the other kitchen, this one is empty. Quote, we're in the middle of the job and you wanna eat again? Can't your fucking fat ass wait till the young lady returns so we can clean house and go get something to eat? A third voice said, and for their surprise it was female. Okay, no food then, but check that noise anyway. The guy outside started coming down the hall and Midoriya pulled them back until they reached the previous turn and told them to wait. The thug turned and saw the frame on the floor, taking a few steps forward into the corridor they were a few seconds ago. Before the two could ask what they were going to do, Midoriya clapped his hands, making some noise, managing to get the thug's attention, making him walk fast-paced towards them. Kachan, don't shout this time or they'll hear us. He whispered and just raised one hand with 3 fingers up, and as the man approached the turn, he started counting down, 3, 2, 1, and he closed his hand, making Bakugo jump over them, letting a knee hit Midoriya's head in the process, blinding the thug, while Midoriya put one hand over his mouth, getting slightly bit, but managing to prevent the criminal from shouting. Holding his hand before he could fire the pistol he was holding as well. They chalked him out, tied him down, and went to the turn ahead. I'll get you back for that knee, you fucker. Midoriya whispered to Bakugo, who raised his eyebrows and smirked, surprised by how Midoriya was speaking to him. I can make some flashbang grenades if you want to. Yaoyorozu whispered to Midoriya, and he saw the 2 remaining had their backs on them. So he checked the room with 5 again. It was too close. It will make too much noise. A flashbang isn't just light, it explodes like a real grenade, so the others may hear it in. She nodded, looking apprehensive, and Midoriya spotted an opening, signaling for them to come. While he walked swiftly followed by the two thugs starting changing positions inside the room. Being now too close from each other and facing the same way. Right next to them, Midoriya noticed at least 15 people sitting on a corner. A young girl who was tied with the others saw Midoriya walk by. Her eyes almost popping out, but he placed one finger over his lips and she slightly nodded, looking away from him. I can't combine an attack with Kachan like this. If we try to go in now we may be forced to. The only possible way to do this is by killing one of them and immobilizing the other. He whispered as he pointed to their position. Bakugo was serious now, pondering that information and finding strange how easily Midoriya proposed to murder someone. Yaoyorozu covered her mouth but understood that something had to be done. Seeing both of their expressions, Midoriya had an insight. I have an idea, but it's risky. Kachan, be ready to go in at full force to protect the hostages if I fail. All right. I'll shout out if necessary. Here's the plan. Midoriya was about to tell them the plan when they heard. What is taking him so long? Oi, what's going on over there, Kabakura? Midoriya instantly got up and walked right to the door. One more step and he would be spotted. So he faced forward and both Yaoyorozu and Bakugo saw that his eyes were closed. A few seconds later the lights of the corridor started to blink, suddenly going out. What happened to the lights? The woman asked and Midoriya stormed in. I don't know what. Kota, what the foo? A loud whack was heard, followed by something heavy hitting the floor, and they both stormed the room. Just as the second body dropped, Midoriya turned, the lights coming on again, and said with blood coming out of his nose. All done. Inside, the employees that were sitting at the corner got up. And after seeing Yaoyorozu, came to her side. A few hugged her, but she was looking at Midoriya's face and his bleeding nose. That worried her because she didn't believe he was ever struck. So that could mean some internal problem, but he was already at the door planning the last part with Bakugo. I need to go, I'm glad you are all okay. She started moving away from her staff but Midoriya and protect them. Yaoyorozu-san, just in case there's more of them. We'll get your parents out of there, I promise. The look on his face was so trustworthy that she couldn't doubt him for a second, she just felt relief. Running back to the entrance, Bakugo asked. You know exactly how many of them are inside, don't you? Why did you lie to her? Kachan, if this ends badly or not, it's up to us, but if it ends badly, I don't want her to feel responsible for her parents' death. Bakugo couldn't understand how Midoriya had changed so much in so little time. Even his attitude was completely different. So the reason you left their room last. You got that, didn't you? Quote. I also wondered that if we were to fail the attempt there, all the people in the kitchen would pay the price. So it was about numbers. That too. Bakugo noticed something before replying. Deku, you're still bleeding. Oh, what? That's strange, Midoriya said, turning his power off. So I guess you're abusing your new quirk, huh? It's true that all quirks have flaws, even yours. Midoriya just kept quiet while brushing off the blood with his hand. He knew he was almost at his limit, but it didn't matter. They went upstairs and arrived at a big corridor where the last five were holding Yaoyorozu's parents, but before they could get any closer, they heard sirens all around the house and shouting inside the room. What the fuck? Cops. What the hell happened? Shish. Their radio is saying that the front door silent alarm was tripped and their security company remotely activated the cameras. Wah, where are those dumb fucks? I told them to not open that door, fuck. We need to go. Let's clean house and leave through the sewers. Fuck. Midoriya was at the door, shoulder to shoulder with Bakugo, and looked at him as the boy looked back. One moment of silent communication passed through them as they realized there was no time for pre-planning and no room for error. They were going to kill the hostages and flee, starting with the parents. Midoriya pointed 2 fingers towards the left side and 3 fingers to the right side, looking back at Bakugo, whispering. Go left, trust me. For Midoriya's surprise, Bakugo smirked. Midoriya stood up with his weapon in hand, and Bakugo heated his hands. Midoriya closed his eyes, feeling the air and the tension. He felt a chill run through his entire body, making his hair stand. He thought about Yaoyorozu and her parents. It was his duty to save them, right now, at this moment. He was the hero, he whispered while getting into a stance. Crimson Moon. Bakugo kicked the door open again, flashing whoever was looking at him. Midoriya opened his eyes and something was different, but he didn't have enough time to think about what changed. So he stormed inside, close behind Bakugo, and saw everything like a slow-motion scene. 2 at close range on their left, moving towards the door, 1 with a gun pointed to a couple who was sitting on the floor further in the back of the room, and 2 in the right, 1 looking away, and the other crouched, closing bags. Midoriya moved alongside Bakugo as he blasted the T-Wo in the left and saw the closest one in the right raising his gun, firing twice since he didn't get affected by the flashbang. Midoriya couldn't see the bullets in slow motion, but he could react to them like if it was Dark Shadow throwing rocks at him, the difference being that right now, he needed to deflect, not dodge. He saw the barrel in the position it was facing. After the bang, he just had to raise his sword in time. And his timing was perfect, proved by the metallic sound made by the side of the katana when it deflected both shots. The whole time he never stopped moving forward alongside Bakugo, seeing the one in the back pointing his weapon towards him as the other aimed again, now at Bakugo. This was the only way. He stopped, and switching the grip style, threw the sword ahead with all his strength. Instantly turning to the right, running towards the guy with the gun pointed at Bakugo, who instantly switched targets and fired at him again, multiple times. Every time he pulled the trigger, Midoriya could somehow see the muscles on his hand, and at the moment he started tensioning those muscles, Midoriya switched his balance, moving slightly out of the barrel's way. To him, this was all happening slowly, but in the normal world, he looked like a red-eyed demon, dodging a rain of bullets at close range, until he suddenly felt something coming from behind him, switching to the last target who was unarmed, shocked by everything happening, but still represented a threat. The answer to why Midoriya switched targets was answered by the explosion that passed right next to his face, completely hitting the thug, making him disappear below the rubble. Midoriya saw as the last one was turning his face away from the blast, and by using an immobilization move, Midoriya grabbed his arm and pinned him down. He looked around to all the destruction and to Yaoyorozu's parents safe and sound at the corner. As fast as it began, it ended. 1 minute later, Yaoyorozu stormed through the door and looked around to all the damage. Her parents were still sitting in the corner but got up when they saw their daughter there, running to a 3-person hug. Bakugo was on the other side of the room, getting the thugs out of the debris. Midoriya was breathing heavily, tired, and feeling a rising pain on his left leg, where he noticed after looking down, he got shot. He looked forward again, surprised by his injury, but saw something more important, something urgent, something that made his heart stop. The one thug who got pierced by his sword was getting up, the sword still attached to his torso. Raising one hand with a gun in it, aiming towards the family. "No!" Midoriya shouted, making everyone look up to see what was going on, but there was no time. So just before the thug could put his finger on the trigger, Midoriya thought with all his might. Lightning enhancement. The thug stood there, with the gun pointed to the family, while Bakugo looked at Midoriya's face and reacted in time, jumping and blasting him with one more explosion. The thug collapsed and Bakugo kicked his gun away, looking at the sword spiked to the man's chest. The sword was sparkling with white electricity, burning him from inside, smoke starting to appear. Deku, calm the fuck down, he's out. You're going to kill him. You're bleeding too much, stop this shit. Midoriya-san, are you okay? Yaoyorozu asked moving towards him, but before Yaoyorozu or Bakugo could get closer, he stopped and coughed blood once, and then he started bleeding from his mouth and nose. His eyes lost its red color as tears of blood stained his face. He collapsed to his knees, but before hitting the ground he thought, "I told you we were going to save them, didn't I?" Midori saw Yaoyorozu's face as she showed a desperate expression, running towards him, and Bakugo jumping to his aid, coming from his right side, but everything was engulfed by white light and he heard a strange noise. Like a constant shrill noise. He didn't feel the impact when he reached the floor, but he tried to smile to look imposing. He hoped that he managed. He hoped that for a moment at least, he looked cool, like a true hero. Midoriya opened his eyes and instantly tried to get up, caught by instinct, reacting as if he still was in danger. "Calm the fuck down, samurai. Get up, come on, we need to get the fuck out of here," Bakugo said, and Midoriya noticed police sirens all around. He was in a different room and saw his leg and arm bandaged. He looked at Bakugo, who at least looked unharmed. "Is everyone okay? What happened? For how long have I been here? Shut up already. Apart from the dude you almost killed, everyone is good. He would have died from blood loss because of your SWO. Road cut some important vases or some shit like that, but they said you cauterized his wounds with your sword. You lost some blood and your leg was shot, through and through, missing is also shot, but just a scratch, you fucking lucky nerd. You were out for like an hour." Midoriya got up and tested his leg. It wasn't hurting that much, so he slowly walked towards the door, but someone opened it first. A man with a dog head, wearing a suit, the chief of the police department, Saragame Kenji. "Good night, youngsters. I know you're eager to leave this place, but I'm afraid we have some questions for you before you're allowed to go home, WOF. Bakugo made a noise, clearly pissed by this statement, and Midoriya, who had seen the chief on TV, almost lost his shit after hearing him say WOF live. It was damn hilarious. He nodded and pressed his lips together, holding the hysteria that was trying to explode. Yaoyorozu and her parents arrived a few minutes later and they positioned chairs for everyone in the room with them. Yaoyorozu's parents explained what happened in the house and how one of the bathrooms was having problems, so they called a plumber's crew just to discover they were robbers. After that, Yaoyorozu took on the narrative, explaining what happened until the moment she met Midoriya. Then it was his turn to explain everything. A few minutes later, the chief got up. "You, Midoriya Izuku, you do realize you're not a hero, right? You not even in hero school yet. What you did was a mistake. You should have called the Pollock. They were going to execute them one way or another and escape through the sewers." "We heard them talking," Bakugo answered, and Chief just gave him a cold glare. "Don't speak when no one asked you a thing, Bakugo Katsuki." Bakugo looked away, pissed. "I don't know what is your definition of a hero, Chief Suragame, but if you're asking me if I think what I did was wrong and if I regret doing it, my answers are yes and no." "Huh, so even knowing that what you did was wrong, you're still not sorry for what you did? Then I believe you're aware of your punishment." He kept looking at Midoriya, trying to understand the boy's personality, intrigued by the way he was speaking. "Yes I am, but since I'm the one who took action and asked Katsuki for help, I would like to take full and exclusive responsibility, so you can punish me for breaking the law. But he's not involved in the decision-making behind this." "Wah," Bakugo started, but the chief spoke first. "You may be even expelled, you know that. You may be even banned from TT ending the exams for heroes schools next month." "What?" Yaoyorozu asked, shocked, but Midoriya looked at her and shook his head, signaling she should stay out of it. "I'm aware of that as well, sir, and I don't mind. Being a hero isn't finished training in hero school. Being a hero is doing the right thing to save lives, no matter the consequences, and I respectfully don't care if you, All Might, or the Prime Minister himself tells me otherwise. Why would he bring All Might's name into this? Oh, perhaps because of All Might's definition as the symbol of peace and the true hero. I see. We already have your addresses, so you both are free to go, but expect more questions tomorrow. Don't talk to the press, because if your little adventure goes public, your punishment may be even more severe." "Sir, the reporters are already here," one rookie policeman said. "What? WOF? Yes, they've surrounded the area. Somehow, the information about the hostage situation was leaked altogether with the camera's feed of the house. It's all over the internet and news channels. They saw the entire thing. The security company said it was an accidental leak, done by an enthusiastic trainee." "Oh, we're dead," Midoriya thought while Bakugo smirked, his arms crossed in his chest while leaning back on a wall. "Don't give them any details about what happened here today, we'll see what we can do. In order to get these videos removed from the internet, you can go home." Before they could move, Yaoyorozu got up with her parents, offering a hand to Bakugo, who grabbed and shook it. "Thank you, Bakugo-san. Thank you for coming to help us." Her parents offered their hands as well, promising any treatment for their injuries would be sponsored by them, and that they should expect rewards. "And you, Midoriya-san, I don't know what I would have done without you. I had no hope of ever getting out of that situation. Thank you very much. We owe our life to you." She started crying and Midoriya offered his hand, but almost fell when the girl hugged him. He smiled and tapped her back, calming her down. "No problem at all, Yaoyorozu-san, I'm glad we managed to rescue everyone. You also helped. Without you as part of the rescue team, we wouldn't manage, so you deserve the credits too. Although it is a secret, so don't tell anyone." He. She laughed and let him go. Her parents repeated the same procedure. Midoriya denied the reward and instead asked why his leg wasn't hurting at all. Yaoyorozu's mom answered, "We have a nurse among our staff, dear. She has a wonderful analgesic quirk. But tomorrow you may experience some pain. I'm very sorry. Our hospital is open for you and your friend if anything goes wrong, okay?" Midoriya headed out and Bakugo did the same. They walked slowly, but in silence towards the exit. That was strange for Midoriya since he expected Bakugo to just bolt out of there. When they walked past the fountain in the middle of the garden, they saw an army of cameras and microphones outside. And Midoriya sighed, "How you wanna play this? I don't want those assholes coming to my house, so I'll just answer all their questions here." "Yeah, I know. I won't reveal anything, I'm not an idiot." Quote, "Press X to doubt." Midoriya said while holding an imaginary joystick on his hands, his thumb moving up and down where the X button should be. Bakugo chuckled and looked away. Midoriya was starting to feel some weakness on his left leg, which made sense since he got an analgesic, and not a new leg. He put too much weight on his left and his leg collapsed, but he didn't fall. Bakugo grabbed him at the last moment, holding him up until he could stand straight. Midoriya knew a thank you here would just be awkward, having no meaning to him, so he just kept going. After passing through the last policeman and the gates, the reporters attacked them, asking everything one could ask about another human being. They answered what they could, and after at least an hour, just a few reporters kept asking about how was the inside of the house or if the tapestry was really pretty, so they said that was enough and walked away. They grabbed a taxi a few blocks ahead, dropping next to Bakugo's home, which was a few blocks away from Midoriya's home, who decided to walk the rest of the way. As Midoriya paid half of the amount, he walked towards his home, but Bakugo said, "You know why I always hated you all these years, Deku." Midoriya halted and turned, looking at his face as he continued, "You always acted like you were better than everyone, better than me. With your helping others bullshit. Those who don't have powers shouldn't fucking meddle, they should stay behind the strong and be saved, but you always treated me like an equal, even if you were quirkless. It was like you were saying my strength didn't matter, and that's why I always hated you, be you. I know, Kachan. I used to ask myself the reason why you picked on me so much, but it doesn't matter anymore. I was able to get my answer months ago, thanks to you. You snapped me out of my inertia, and that was the first step for me to get my quirk, but don't worry, this is not a friendship request. I'm just thanking you for all those years because, without them, I wouldn't be able to become stronger, I wouldn't be able to do what I did today. Oh, and I hate you too, of course, more than you can imagine." After that, Midoriya turned and limped away, waving his hand above his head twice. "Night. Thanks for showing up today. Tell Auntie I said hi." Bakugo just watched as he walked away. "I said hated, you fucking asshole," he thought before walking inside his home to get yelled at. Midoriya arrived home and got hugged before he door. "I'm Ho." He felt a bump. Izuku, are you okay? Oh my god, you're hurt. I just saw you on TV. I called you like a million times, but you wouldn't answer." She was crying, and Midoriya just said with a smile, exhausted, "I'm okay mom, just some hero stuff. Nothing out of ordinary." They went inside and Inko looked at his injuries twice before allowing him to go take a shower and sleep. He struggled to keep water out of the bandages and a few minutes later, entered his room. Seeing a strange box, he opened his door and asked, "Mom, what is this box doing here?" "Oh, I forgot. An old man named Hirotaka Shinji brought you this tonight. He said to give it only to you." "Oh, yay, the books I was waiting for, thank you mom." "Yay, call me if you feel anything, okay? I love you too." He closed the door and almost jumped with the good leg to see the books. One of them had a note on its cover. "I hope this can help you. Find me when you're done. I would like to know what you thought, and I want you to meet someone." He opened a few books and saw the titles, which gave him goosebumps. After dividing a few of them, which were useless, 3 stood out from the rest. The Downfall of a Race, Keigaya's Children, Natural Elements, The Clan Cursed by Hatred. Midoriya laid back and started reading one of them, eager to understand more about his past, but he couldn't stop closing the book and smiling a few times, remembering how things ended today. He looked to his hands, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly proud of himself. He returned to the book, diving into the past to become stronger enough to protect the future. Midoriya woke up with a throbbing pain on his leg, but that wasn't the reason he opened his eyes. The reason was the noisy drone flying outside his window, trying to see what was inside. He sat and tried to concentrate on whatever the hell was going on. After changing into new clothes and new bandages, he went to the living room and found his mom watching TV. "Ah, Izuku, you got up early, baby. What's wrong? There's a UFO outside my window, what's going on?" "Oh, I recorded the news so you could see, here," she said while setting the video. Midoriya sat and the news started right at his blurred face, and the reporter started speaking. Yesterday reports, conjointly with cameras footage provided by the internet, showed to the population the shocking scenes in the full-action T had happened inside the Yaoyorozu's household. A group of robbers that were wanted for numerous murders infiltrated the Yaoyorozu mansion disguised as plumbers and made the entire family and staff hostage. All the odds were leading to a tragic ending until two brave young men stepped up, saving more than 20 lives. The video you're about to see was analyzed by a pro hero specialized in combat and analyses. He was unaware we were recording, but we did it in a public space, so that's all within the law. Hear these analyses from pro hero, Ectoplasm. They never saw Ectoplasm's face, but they could hear his voice as they played a video. Midoriya saw himself, Bakugo, and Yaoyorozu arriving at the street in front of the mansion, and by the angle, he noticed they were recorded by a police street camera. It's easy to see who is the one leading the other two, the green-haired boy. He decided the entire plan, based on the footage. Outside the mansion, you can see him deciding the course of action. And splitting his assets to a successful invasion, starting by taking out the lookout, instead of trying to sneak in. Inside you can see how his quirk works, or at least get a good glimpse. In my opinion, it's more than a sensorial quirk. He knew where they were positioned, he changed positions with his partner to achieve a better outcome. Here in the last and critical moment, he saved the hostages, protected his partner, who I may add, has amazing control over such destructive power to only incapacitated the threats, and apprehended the villains without any casualties. The data banks show he got his quirk 7 months ago and already evolved to the point he could manage a situation where many pro heroes would fail. No, I cannot tell since I don't know his personality, but judging by his power alone and the growth possibility, I would say he's one strong candidate to the number 1 spot, and if the other boy can grow with him, they could become a duo never seen before. I can't classify him among the pros, but after I get the chance to know him and his quirk, I shall be able to at least have a solid indicator. My personal opinion. I don't believe personal opinions to be valid, but if you and one, I'll give you one you can't distort. We're possibly looking to one of the strongest heroes that ever existed in our country. That, citizens, are the words of a respected pro hero, who is suing us right now. But still a respected pro hero. The police and the press interviewed the same two youngsters after the events, but the underage law prohibited us from showing their faces. We had information that the police were looking for a way to punish the two boys for saving a total of 23 lives that night. The chief of police appeared with a statement. We can't have kids running out acting like heroes and exposing themselves and others to danger. How would you all feel if they died, if the two kids and all hostages were killed because of their lack of experience and knowledge? We can't endorse these actions, and our Department of Quirks Misuse will attend to their schools and families so they can be disciplined. WOF. Midoriya didn't find it funny now, seeing the chief of police saying those things, but the reporter continued. After these statements, most of the specialists on quirks and pro heroes confirmed that he was indeed correct, but also that the logic couldn't apply to the two, especially the green-haired boy, who they believe has something beyond his registered extrasensorial quirk. A retired hero that handled analysis started speaking. How can you call him a kid? I know licensed heroes who would freeze in these kinds of situations and wait for backup that could never come, or even take the wrong decision that would result in bloodshed. We can't praise him for doing something he shouldn't, but we can't condemn and punish him for doing a pro hero job with excellence either. All this results in two questions. Who are the two boys who saved one of the richest and influential families of our city without getting nothing but criticism in return? And what kind of punishment will they suffer? The screen froze at the end of the record. Midoriya was speechless and a little shocked by all that. After a few seconds, he looked back to see his mom looking at him with concerned eyes. Mom, I don't mind being punished by using my power to save lives. I hope you can understand what I did and why. And I hope you. She ran and hugged him, almost breaking his neck while saying, I know, Izuku, I know this is what you always wanted. Mom knows, and I am proud of you. But seeing you next to such danger and knowing you got hurt. I can't help it, I can't help it. Midoriya got up, gently getting free of her hug, and with a faint smile he said while holding her hands. I'm sorry, Mom, I don't want to worry you. But with the power I have, I may have the chance to change the world the way I always wanted, to be the hero I always wanted to be. I'm sorry, but I need to keep going. One day I may even die trying to save someone, but on this day I know you'll look back to all the good I've done and feel pride. Those 23 were my first step. He hugged her and there was nothing to be said for now as he patted her on the back for a few times until she calmed down. Midoriya walked out of his house and saw the drone flying next to a tree, facing him as he deliberately walked away, limping because of the injured leg. He looked around, and with his hands inside his jacket he did some kind of movement, watching as the drone lost control, hitting the floor like a toy, breaking into pieces. Interesting. He needed to think about a lot of things which wasn't recommended for freshly wounded, but he didn't care. He wore earphones, listening to hard songs that made him deaf to the outside. He lost the notion of time as he kept walking, murmuring, almost being run over twice, until he saw someone stopping in front of him while pointing. He took his earplugs off and heard the girl in front of him say with an exciting edge, "Hey, you're bleeding. Oh, you're the guy from TV." She licked her lips while looking at his face, and Midoriya frowned. "How? Your face was barely blurred, so I can tell." Midoriya stopped and looked to the girl who approached him. A teenager with ashen blonde hair arranged into two messy buns with strands running wild all around. She was wearing a dark blue sailor suit with a beige cardigan that looked too big for her figure, but what stood out about this girl was her eyes. Something was off with her eyes, and Midoriya felt the instinct to take a step back, as if he was in the presence of something dangerous, so he answered without looking at his wound but facing her eyes instead, never looking away. "Thank you, I wasn't paying attention. I'll seek a pharmacy right away." The girl smiled while narrowing her eyes, blushing. You're really cool, aren't you? I saw you yesterday on TV. You were so cool with that sword. Where is it? I also like swords, you know. I think we should be friends. What you think?" She looked at him with big eyes and a wide smile. I guess. Yay, Toga got a new friend. Yay, you know, even after they cleaned you up, I could still see some of your blood next to your ear and eyes. You know what, I think you'd be so much cooler if you bled a little more." Midoriya saw her hand going inside her cardigan and her changing her feet position, her body language indicating she was positioning to attack. He raised his hand before she could do anything and said, "Can I stop you for a second? I don't know your full name and you don't know mine. So why don't we just part ways for now before you do something reckless that you may regret? I'm not in a good mood today. And I don't want to accidentally hurt you." Midoriya wasn't going to fight her, he said that for a reason. He said that because this was an emergency. This girl is a true villain. She must have a quirk as well, but no physical indications. An emitter, then, she could be a transformer as well. I can feel something dark around her, something bestial. What is this vibe I'm getting? For now, I think I should display strength and indifference to push her off a little. The girl still was with her right hand inside her pocket and became even more blushed before running towards Midoriya like a beast, pulling a small knife out and making a move to stab his chest, but as she placed one foot between his legs, starting the movement, she stopped. He didn't move 1 inch as the knife was about to make contact and she saw his red eyes glaring at her. She got straight and stashed the knife away, moving forward with her hands behind her back like she was going to kiss him. But he saw what she wanted to see his eyes from up close. I could use the moonlight on her now. Maybe this is the best way to deal with this situation. You're more than cool, and these eyes, your eyes color is so beautiful. I like beautiful red things, you know. My name is Toga Hamiko, but you can call me Toga-chan. She spoke with her face still too close to his, her breath touching his face. It smelled like rust, iron. The scent reminded him of something metallic mixed with something sweet, perhaps apples. Midoriya didn't introduce himself and the girl narrowed her eyes, smirking. "You won't give me your name?" "I just got rejected by a boy I don't even know the name." She started spinning in place, covering her eyes like a child, but unlikely a child, she made a quick move. Too quick for a girl of her stature, taking out the knife again, trying to slice his throat. Midoriya pulled his upper body backward to dodge the incoming attack and after losing his balance, he placed his weight on his left leg, feeling the weakness almost taking him down. She came again with a big smile on her face, and even though Midoriya still hadn't tested this on humans, he needed a way out. She was a good fighter, he could tell by the way she moved when another swing came, aimed to his neck again. The knife stopped 5 inches away from Midoriya's carotid artery. She looked again at him and had the same instinct Midoriya had a few minutes ago, multiplied by 100. The boy's face made her eyes widen with surprise and her smile vanish as she tried to take a step back, away from the danger he was emanating, but out of nowhere she felt pain all over her body, and she couldn't move a finger anymore. A wave of constant energy hurt every muscle of her body while Midoriya observed her reaction. He was deciding if he should call the police or not when he saw another drone coming from afar and thought, Damn, did they send another? They'll suspect if I damage another. Also, they'll get the wrong idea again when they see her. I'm already down the neck into problems. This girl is dangerous, a villain for sure, but I can't handle her right now, so I'll have to let her go. He stopped and the girl fell, looking fainted but still trying to move and speak. Midoriya crouched next to her and, taking the knife with his sleeves, placed it inside her pocket, helping her get up just in time. As he saw the drone spying again. Can you hear me, Toga Himiko? He kept her up until she came back to her senses, instantly trying to go for her knife again, but Midoriya quickly grabbed her arm and whispered. Someone is watching us. Let's not have a scene now, villain. She looked into his eyes, that were almost glowing, and started to pant, grabbing the fr. onto her cardigan with one hand and the front of his jacket with the other, blushing even more than before, showing a strange pair of pointy canines. Midoriya was aware and saw it coming but couldn't do anything but turn his face away as she pulled him closer and leaned forward, giving him a long lick which left the left side of his face wet. He freed himself from her grip and just stared back while she licked her lips. You have a bittersweet taste, you know. I kind of like it. She took a few steps back, looking at him with an odd expression, and although Midoriya didn't want to give her any wrong signals or ideas, he had to put up a show now, so he waved and spoke out loud. I hope we can see each other again, Toga Himiko. Next time I'll be sure to talk to you properly. Why would you think we'll see each other ever again? She asked with a devilish smile and Midoriya answered. Because you're a villain, and I am a hero. One day our paths will cross again, just like life's path will always be crossed by death. She was speechless for a few seconds, then she giggled and answered. Funny choice of words for a hero, Mr. Hiro-san. She turned, walking away, stopping twice to wave at him. Midoriya waited, and after sitting on the closest brick wall, he covered his face. Just like life's path will always be crossed by death. What the hell did I just say? Oh my god, what's wrong with me? That was so embarrassing. This is on you, Yami. He tried to calm down now, his face slightly warmer and his heart racing, but not caused by fear. He was keeping his poker face the whole time, but he wasn't cool with that situation at all. He looked to the path the girl went and wondered. What the hell just happened? I'm awake right now, right? The first one was a test, but she really IED to kill me the second and third time, she was serious. A true murderer. And here I am being excited because she licked me. Midoriya covered his face again and felt his phone vibrate. He took it out of his jacket's pocket and saw the name, pressing his lips together, anticipating what was about to go down. Yo, he tried to sound energetic but just sounded frightened instead, like a kid showing poor grades to the parents. I'm sure you have a wonderful explanation for today's news, Midoriya. Do you comprehend what call me if anything happens means? If you're caught into a life or death hostage situation, I think that would apply as something happening, don't you agree? Damn, he's mad. I'm sorry, Yami, I couldn't call you before because. Look, can we meet next to my house to talk? Actually, I'm not next to my house. Hold up, where am I? He looked around for a few seconds, realizing he had no idea where he was, but it looked like a dangerous neighborhood. Anyway, I'll send you my location so I can explain myself and show you something. Fine, I'll be there soon. Midoriya sent his location and waited, thinking about Toga Himiko again and her murderous aura, and how pretty her face became when she smiled. Murderer, 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 murderer. He kept repeating to himself like a chant, trying to prevent himself from fantasizing about the girl he just met. This is such a mess. Damn it, he sighed, remembering the reason he left his house. A few minutes after they ended their hug, the phone rang and his mom went to answer. At first, her face became green, then red and lastly white. As she whispered a yes or a no here and there, she hung up and turned to him, her hands slightly shaking. Izuku, they called from your school to let me know you've been expelled for lawbreaking and that the quirk misuse department will come to ask you some questions. Katsuki-kun got suspended for 2 weeks. I'm so sorry, they said the police department kept pressuring for punishment. He felt the impact of that new information passing through his entire body, like a bucket of warm water, a warm chill. After hearing his mom promising she would go to THE school to try to fix the situation for the 9th time, he decided to take a walk and ended up wandering around the streets, meeting his new crazy friend, but the truth was he just wanted to be alone. Which was impossible right now as he saw someone coming towards him, but not the person he was waiting for. Midoriya waited in silence until the boy stopped in front of him, hands inside the pockets. "What are you doing here, Deku?" "Exercising," he answered sarcastically, and Bakugo noticed the faint red color on his bandage. "We've gotta talk about that shit we pulled. Someone called my home and I got suspended. I wanted to ask you if you got suspended too." "Wait, how did you find me?" Bakugo just pointed over his shoulder and Midoriya saw a second drone next to the first. "I asked your Om and she told me you left towards this place, then I just had to find that flying piece of shit." "Yay, and no, I didn't get suspended. I got expelled and they may still ban me from the exams." Bakugo's face revealed surprise, but he quickly controlled his expression and asked, "What the hell you're going to do now?" "I don't know, I'm still considering. Wait a second. Why are you being so friendly all of a sudden?" Midoriya narrowed his eyes expecting an explosive reaction, but he got an actual answer instead. "Screw you, I wanted to confirm what happened after yesterday. Also, your mom asked me to tell you to go home since you're still hurt, you dumb fuck. So much for the next number one hero, huh?" Midoriya looked at his face and saw his eyebrows sarcastically raised. He looked pissed, but amused at the same time. "Watch your mouth, kid, you're talking to the next number one hero, so if you don't behave, I'll find another asset to aid me." He joked again and Bakugo snorted before whispering, "Over my dead body." "What? Speak louder, boy." "Over my dead body, you asshole. The number one spot is mine." "That can be arranged." The over my dead body part though. He found it was actually very fun to tease Bakugo like this. Especially when he wasn't being a dense asshole. "Come on, I'll fuck your other leg up. I don't discriminate, so I'll beat the crap out of invalids too," he said with a hand up, inviting him. "That's a cool hero description for you, Bakugo Katsuki, the Disable's villain hunter." Bakugo chuckled again, but suddenly became serious and asked, completely changing the atmosphere. "What happened to you, Deku?" "What you mean? I got shot, dumbass. Stop fucking around and answer me. What the fuck is this quirk of yours?" He took his hands out of his pockets and waited with a serious face. Midoriya was deciding if he should tell him the truth or not, opting for going with the truth. After Bakugo's help, he at least deserved to know, but before he could start, he saw Tokiyami approaching. "I guess I'll tell some other time, I have to go." "You're not going anywhere until you explain to me what is it, and how you got it." He grabbed Midoriya's jacket, but turned his face to the right. As a figure entered his peripheral view, Dark Shadow struck him hard, but Bakugo guarded just on time, counter-attacking by reflex, making Dark Shadow retreat from the blast. "Who the fuck are you? The fuck is this, huh?" "It's okay, Yami. I know him. Didn't look like that, I thought he was a villain. My apologies," Tokiyami said, raising a hand as an apology, and Bakugo approached again, pissed. "Oi, you have a fucking death wish, birdbrain. What the hell are you doing, huh?" Midoriya saw his face and thought that now he was looking like his old self. "This is my friend Fumikage Tokiyami. And this is Kachan." Midoriya pointed to one another, and Tokiyami said, "Oh, he really is aggressive. I thought you were exaggerating. What the hell did you tell him, Deku?" "Nothing that he couldn't find out himself." "Kachan, look, I have to go. I have a few things to discuss with Yami, so I'll call your home if anything new pops up." Bakugo calmed down and said with a controlled voice, "I'm coming with you." "What? Why?" "Because you won't dodge my questions anymore, you fucking asshole. I will make you spill everything." Midoriya rolled his eyes and answered, "Fine, let's get a cab. I can't walk like this for now." "You're fucking paying." "What? We're splitting. I can walk just fine, so if you wanna get a ride, you're fucking paying. Just shut up or I'll leave you behind. Try it, asshole, I'll annihilate you. Have you found that word on the dictionary last night? Way to go, Kachan." Tokiyami had the strange impression he was seeing two brothers fighting. But he felt a chill, looking around until he saw one figure watching them from the distance. He stared the person for a few seconds but looked away, thinking it was probably just a curious person. Nothing out of ordinary. They walked to the main street to look for a ride. The figure watched them until they turned the corner. The figure turned and walked away, vanishing after in an instant. After arriving at their usual training ground, they walked in, seeing Tanaka-san drinking coffee inside his office, waving as they passed by, getting a thumb up back. After they got inside, Midoriya sat on the remains of the sofa they found lying around months ago, while Tokiyami leaned on a beam with his arms crossed. Bakugo chose to sit on a tire, looking around with interest. I'll explain to him first, Yami. He doesn't know much about it, so after I run the basics to him, we'll talk. Tokiyami just nodded and Midoriya faced Bakugo, explaining everything at once. Pay Aden, Tion Kachan because I won't repeat myself. My power, I named my quirk, Crimson Moon. As you saw before, it's a power that comes from my eyes. This power basically allows me to access most of the perception and processing capability my brain can offer. I can process and analyze information at least 20 times faster than a normal person. While most of the regular people can split their attention to 2 different things at the same time. And pro heroes can split to 3 or 4 things, I can go up to 10. It's called insight. This insight is my main power, but apart from it, I have a second main power called moonlight. This one allows me to interfere with people's minds. I can overload their brain with feelings or images, making anything I want, sound, look, and feel like reality. Although it isn't perfect, I can immobilize most people or tougher to subjugate because it is harder to interfere with their brains. This is what I used when I got inside that room yesterday, remember? First, I overloaded the lights until they went out, so at the moment I walked inside, they could only see my eyes in the darkness, because they glow in the dark. That allowed me to put one under the moonlight's effect while dealing with the other physically. Oh yay, visual contact is required for this power to work. Tokiyami, who was silent with his eyes closed, turned his face towards Midoriya when he said that he overloaded the lights. There are a few more things here and there, but it's basically this. Now to the important part, Yami. He explained everything that happened to Tokiyami, and after he finished, Tokiyami replied. I can't argue with your logic, but I could have held a defensive position. You should have called me as well. That was true. Midoriya knew he was right, but he didn't want to put his only friend at risk. It was just a dangerous situation that would be even more dangerous to you. That's why I decided to leave you out. I'm sorry. Tokiyami understood because he would probable. Why do the same if the positions were inverted? Now I need to face the truth, and the truth is that I'm screwed. I got expelled and I don't know how to deal with all this. There's still a chance that He can prohibit me from attending the UA exams or any other hero school entrance exams. I saw something like that on TV today. I can't believe they actually did that. This certainly is a complicated matter. No shit, Birdlock, you're a fucking genius. Bakugo glared at him. The worst part comes now. Midoriya said, making some suspense as the two looked confused, watching him raise his right hand with the palm up. Whispering something, making literally small bolts of lightning materialize on his palm, a few getting out of control and hitting the floor. What in God's name is this? Toko. Yami took a step closer and Dark Shadow looked scared, leaning away. Bakugo was just speechless. Midoriya stopped and gasped, looking at his hand that was slightly burned. I read a few interesting things about my past last night, and I'm pretty sure this is it. This is the end of the story. No more information. After I finished, I started testing the things I've learned into electronic devices, trying to somehow interfere with them. And it worked. Earlier today I used on a drone, overloading its systems with energy, and later on, I used on someone. I was able to incapacitate her for a while, even holding back as I was. Calm the fuck down for a second, you fucking degenerate. Are you telling us you electrocuted some girl with this shit? What the fuck is your problem and what is this electricity anyway? It is something I inherited from my ancestors, and believe me, you would have done worse to her, she was a villain anyway. I got it all wrong. In one moment of my genealogic tree, a single man became the only living exemplar of this bloodline, but this member somehow gained powers never seen before, which triggered a new kind of natural manifestation on his descendants. What those new elements were, it's a mystery. But they changed how his descendants reacted to the natural elements. I know it doesn't make much sense to you, Kachan, but I'm sure you get the point, Yami. It fucking doesn't. Bakugo shouted, pissed off, but Midoriya was so focused he didn't even notice. He was speaking faster and was sweating, thrilled for finally being able to share his discoveries with someone. Let's just go practical since it's the only thing that goes through your head, which is also good because I also want to check one more thing. Kachan, can you create a controlled explosion aimed at that part of the ground? He pointed to the center of the hangar. Why, just do it. Bakugo got up, still dumbfolded and pissed, and raised his arm, blasting a hole on the ground, turning to face Midoriya, who was now right next to him, whispering, "Now, do it again, but before you activate your power, say this word." You can whisper to yourself and use the same amount of power. Bakugo narrowed his eyes after hearing him whisper a strange word, thinking this was just a joke, but as he exploded the ground again, he was caught by surprise when the explosion went at least 3 times stronger, shaking the floor while sending dust everywhere, setting the grass on fire. Holy! Midoriya covered his mouth in complete shock as he noticed his theory was right. It still exists. The manipulation of the natural elements still exists. Bakugo looked at his hand and aimed again, doing a second explosion, making a few parts of the metal structure fall off. He was laughing, amazing by this extra power. But he heard Midoriya's shouts. "Stop it, Kachan. You can't overdo it." "What? Stop using it and come here for a second so I can explain." Bakugo walked back and felt dizziness. Hitch made him grab onto Tokiyami's shoulder for balance. He faced Midoriya, whose eyes were shining again. "What the fuck is this, Deku? What did you do to me?" "I did nothing. You did it yourself, so sit already." He waited and Tokiyami came closer, interested. "Inside all of us, there's an energy. You can call this energy by many names. Vital energy, stamina, ki, mantra. There are numerous terms referring to it, but all of them came from the original power that ruled the world, the chakra. You are familiar with the myth of creation and the tale of the bamboo cutter." Tokiyami nodded vigorously and Bakugo tried hard to remember his classic history class. After noticing Bakugo's face, Midoriya just said, "Izanagi and Izanami, then Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susanoo. You remember their tale, right? And the tale about the rabbit princess, or the moon pre." Yay, I remembered. What does that have to do with anything and why am I still dizzy?" Midoriya talked quickly, gesturing with his hands, rushing through the words. "It's actually simple. When Princess Kaguya descended to Earth, she found a prohibited fruit. This fruit's origin was unknown, and the only thing they were sure about this fruit was that the fruit was nourishing the earth with all its natural elements, which you can probably guess: water, fire, wind, lightning, and earth. Kaguya found and ate the forbidden fruit, taking those powers to herself, giving such power to her descendants, the power to create and manipulate the elements using their own energy. Their own chakra. At some point, one enemy referred only as the second appeared. This individual came and eradicated all of those who had traces of the fruit's energy inside of them, and on the face of extinction, the last families still alive decided to seal their power and live as normal humans so that when the second would come again, he wouldn't find any traces of the power and vanished forever. Every newborn on those families was submitted to the same sealing ritual so they wouldn't be found, and at some point after multiple marriages between normal humans and members of those families, people started being born without the chakra affinity. And this brings us to the present. I may be wrong, but I believe that the golden baby has something to do with all these myths and that a few of our quirks are just a different manifestation of that natural manipulation." He turned to Bakugo and continued. "The word I told you to use was the word created to represent fire, and the reason you felt dizziness is that you and I are one of those who were born with the affinity but cannot use it, so if we try to push it, this is our body's response to it. I must admit, if I hadn't just seen you create electricity out of thin air, I would probably call your mom to tell her you were doing drugs," Tokiyami said, looking surprised while scratching his forehead. "Also, I don't have this affinity?" he asked, and Midoriya, activating his Crimson Moon, checked his flame. To his surprise, it was much more detailed, to the point he could see everything now, including the almost absent flame inside Tokiyami. "I don't think so, Yang, but it's tiny. And when did you get your third tomo?" "Congratulations." "What? I didn't get my third, holy shit, I got my third tomo," he confirmed with his cell phone, looking into his reflection. He finally realized what happened yesterday and his sudden surge of concentration. "Why can't we use it?" Bakugo asked with such an interest on all of this, that he forgot to be aggressive, and Midoriya realized they were sort of ignoring him. "Because the fruit got returned." When everyone abdicated this power, the second was able to recreate the fruit, placing it where it belonged. No one knows how he did that, but he did it. What we just did goes against the law of the universe itself, because if we think about it, we're using a power we shouldn't have access to. Midoriya continued after a short pause. "But, Before I passed out of shock after reading all this, I found something. This may sound crazy, but I think I can turn it back on, at least just a little bit, but enough, so our bodies can handle it. I think I can make our energy reconnected to the fruit. He smiled to the two, but Tokiyami and Bakugo just stared at him with blank faces. He thought for a few seconds. Again and said after snapping his fingers. Picture this, it's like an energy generator owned by some company. This generator was feeding many people with energy, but one day, the energy company came and decided that nobody could take energy from it anymore. They started cutting off all the cables feeding on the generator. Well, in this case, the company actually killed everyone, but you got the picture. So, after seeing that the other cables were being cut, the last ones taking energy from it decided to just stop taking the energy, turning all their devices off. After cutting the last cable that was taking energy from the generator, the company saw that nobody was taking the energy anymore, and for some reason, the company just let them be. Did you get it? My head is starting to hurt, you fucking nerd. Your analogy was terrible, but yes, I got it. Come on, Kachan, the cables are still connected. Quote. The cables represent the connection to the fruit. The cables were still connected all this time, and what I'm going to do is turn the devices back on so I can take energy from it again. How? Like this, and if I die, tell my mom I love her, okay? And Kachan, screw you. Fuck you. He sat, groaning because of his leg, assuming what Tokiyami instantly recognized as the full lotus meditating position. You sure this is safe? No, but I gotta try. I have to become stronger if what? I decided last night that if they shut me out of everything, I would become sort of a vigilante. You fucking what? Bakugo asked, perplexed. I don't care if I'm going to be called a villain or anything similar. I'll do what I think is right and fight for the ones in need, even if it means fighting the heroes too. Ooh, so you'll start going out there fighting heroes so you can do their jobs. I guess you'll introduce yourself like this to everyone. Hello, my name is DEKU dipshit. Congratulations, you're being fucking rescued. Please do not resist. Midoriya laughed out loud to that, but Bakugo kept staring at him. Tokiyami shook his head, also disliking that idea. This is not funny, Midoriya. He has a point. You cannot go against the law to enforce the law, against the heroes to become a hero. Quote, I can, Yami. I already did, and I'll do it again if necessary. I'll go against them for the sake of the people, and I'll do anything I can. I know that. Look, Yami. I'm not going crazy. You know me. I just want you to understand that I won't give up on being the hero I always wanted to be just because the police think without 3 years of training and a piece of paper I can't save lives. I know the hero training is important, but isn't saving lives the most important task of any hero? We can talk about this later. You're bleeding again because you're sitting like that. So just finish what you were going to do and be careful. Midoriya looked at his leg, straightening his stance, dropping his hands to his lap, making the Jnana Mudra symbol while taking deep breaths. Just like the book taught, he felt the surrounding air again, also feeling Tokiyami and Bakugo next to him. He could almost see their shapes with his eyes closed. He followed the instructions he read on the last page of the book and tried to think about nothing except the belief of the chakra's existence inside every living being. The key was to believe it was real, to make it real. He then raised his hands, stopping and turning his hands, until he placed one palm facing the other. He waited a few seconds and slowly raised his right hand, touching the side of this head with 2 fingers while whispering, "Release." And he felt the surge of energy and pain through his entire body, barely managing to stand still. Seconds later he couldn't move or open his eyes, and all he felt was that something or someone was pulling him ahead. He lost his balance, falling forward on the ground, but not on the ground of the old hangar. He touched the grass he was on, and it was oddly beautiful. He felt in his hand that everything was real, and when he looked around his mouth fell open. He was in a small ravine, and in front of him, there was a path leading up to a giant tree. Besides the gigantic tree in front of him, there was nothing but lights all around. He looked to his hands, flexing his fingers and touching his face. Everything felt real to him, so he started walking uphill, towards the giant tree, so big it was almost impossible to measure. The trunk was white, and the leaves up top had a reddish color. They reminded him of the color of the sunset. As he walked closer, he saw one vine around the trunk, coming from all the way up, until it turned into some kind of hanged altar, leaves coming out of it, creating a small vessel for what resembled a big dark red apple-shaped fruit. He approached and the leaves moved out of the way, presenting the fruit as a gift, and Midoriya, raising his hand, went to grab it, but stopped just before his fingers touched the fruit. Having second thoughts about that. At least you are smarter than me. The proper response here was to break his neck at least twice after the surprise, but he didn't feel afraid or surprised. He just looked to his right and saw a woman. A woman with long white hair and white eyes, wearing a white kimono, a woman he instantly recognized as the woman he saw portrayed months ago at the bookstore. Princess Kaguya. She left a delicate chuckle out before answering with a smile. I have not heard that name in a long time. She walked with her hands behind her back, looking lovely and so beautiful that her beauty was odd. All of her traces were at the right place, but she didn't look human at all. Midoriya took a few steps back from the fruit and saw how it recoiled itself to the inside of the altar again. As the princess started circling him, looking at his body and hair. Midoriya didn't know what to say, so he just waited in silence, feeling nervous. There is no need to be shy or scared, my child, nothing will harm you. She stopped next to him, and he could swear she was glowing. Am I dreaming? He managed to ask with a barely audible voice. Yes, and no. This is reality and it does not exist at the same time. She said with a smile and asked. For you to be here, son of mine, you must seek power to achieve your ambitions or salvation for your people. Which one are you searching for? I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm your son. After hearing that, she tenderly smiled while tilting her head a little. But you are, silly boy. The human that brought you to your world is only your caretaker, a vessel. Everything that you are, that you think, that you feel, everything came from me. Midoriya had a glimpse of his mother's smiling face and felt a little irritated, hearing her being called a vessel. But he understood that she meant no disrespect, she wasn't being offensive, so he tried to relax and answered without ainses, but I don't think that way. He was worried that he may have offended her. But she continued to smile. And that is the beauty of the human race, being able to achieve such love in such limited time. The gods could learn a little with them, don't you think? I'm a little confused about the reason you're here. Princess, you can call me Kaguya. And as for the reason that I am here to warn you about that fruit. Midoriya just waited in silence and she touched his face. Her hands were really warm and she said with a sad expression. Before we jump to that, I should clarify a few aspects of my existence that were written as reliable knowledge but are untrustworthy. Do you mind hearing my accurate history? She dropped her hand and waited, never looking away from his face. Yes, he whispered and she started. I never had value as a being to my clan, all they cared about was my blood and the prospect of purity within the family. At a very young age, I was told to wait for my husband to be born, so we could marry and mix two individuals whose blood could transcend the most heavenly blood they knew, achieving a new power, a new evolution, but in the meantime, I was to bear children from all of them. Efused and asked for help from the older gods, but none answered. A few lower gods took pity on my suffering and tried to fight my clan. That was when they hid me on earth. The humans created tales about my sadness. They said I cried looking at the moon, but that was not sadness, it was only despair. Every night I looked up and wished the moon was destroyed, that I could live in peace, as a human. But every night it was there reminding me they were still there, waiting to take me back. I then found this place after hearing tales from the humans about how it was cursed, so I came looking for forbidden fruit and ate it without a doubt on my mind, thinking I had nothing to lose. How mistaken I was. She turned and walked to the edge of the ravine, sitting, leaving her feet dangling, placing her hand up to invite him to sit with her. Midoriya sat, hypnotized by her tale, unaware that below him was just the infinite. She continued, it was not a curse, it was a price. The moment I ate it, I felt something dark inside my body, and before I left, I used the rest of the control that I had to hide a part of my existence inside the tree. This dark being took control of my body, making me its prisoner. Sometimes I could reclaim control over my body for a few hours, and in one of those moments, I used my new power to give life to my two sons. For some time, they were my biggest joy. Even if I spent most of the time locked inside my own body, I could still see them. But as they grew, something changed, and after that, I was not in control of my body at all. I saw myself walking around, but I could not stop. I saw myself silent but I could not speak, I was imprisoned inside my own flesh without any hope of ever being freed, and had to watch as that thing wearing my skin and my face, manipulated, killed, tortured, and enslaved my sons, their sons, and grandsons. It was unbearable to watch as I saw curses and wars falling upon humanity, all caused by me, until my sons, my 2 sons, managed to stop her to stop me. Although they won, I still was not destroyed, I was still there, and years later, I was revived, but my 2 sons' reincarnations finally brought an end to me. I was able to restore my body using the small part of my conscience hidden inside the tree, but someone was already here, waiting for me, and as he pierced me with his sword, leaving me to die, he uttered these words. Perish as the filth you love, you are a disgrace. Before I drew my last breath, I tried to hold to my life, so I did it again, I became this memory. Waiting, hearing nothing, seeing nothing, I do not know when, why, or how, but someday one being appeared here. Since I had lost my body, I could not see Earth anymore, I just existed floating around this place, but on the day this creature came here, I was still able to see. I saw it touching the tree, making a new fruit sprout. I could not see his face, but he saw me and vanished without a trace. I have been waiting since that moment, waiting to know what happened to my 2 beautiful boys who changed the world that I almost destroyed, my 2 boys who saved their people just like they said they would. Midoriya wasn't sure if he should tell her what happened, but he decided to go for the truth. I can't say how reliable our books are, but your descendants, all of those who had traces of this fruit's power inside of them, were hunted and killed by a being called the Second. Only a few survived, and when faced with extinction, the last 3 families decided to seal away their power till the end of times. Kagaya's expression was heartbreaking. Midoriya felt a sadness without precedent, seeing her face full of despair and sorrow like that. But you are my son, I can tell. She looked at his face, searching for comfort, searching for a small glimpse of hope. I'm a descendant, but I may be the last one. I can't say what exactly is happening behind the curtains, but in my world, I never saw anything even remotely close to chakra. I'm sorry, and I should be sincere. I indeed came here searching for a way to get stronger. I came looking for power so I can protect everyone back in my world. You came for power, but you want the power to protect all the others. She was incredulous, but suddenly a warm smile spread on her face, and after getting up, she grabbed his hand, pulling him towards the fruit. I believe you could be the exception, my son. After this moment, my existence will finally vanish, but I am glad that you came to see me one last time. She started to cry while holding his face between her hands, always smiling, and Midoriya didn't notice he was crying too. I am glad I could see my sons' faces and hear their words one last time, because you represent both of them. You are carrying their will inside of you. But you must leave us behind and begin a new journey, your journey. You possess the connection to the fruit, but you do not have to eat it, you will become something new, and with that, I hope this entity called the Second will never come to harm you. Midoriya saw as her hands started to turn into light, her touch disappearing, and for some unknown reason, he tried to grab her. But she wasn't there anymore, he could only see her body disintegrating, hearing her last words, like a whisper inside his head. I love you, my child, and it does not matter that I will not be there to see your future. I am certain you will make me proud of your righteousness and compassion, proud of your strength and courage. Never forget that I love you. Now go ahead, I am too tired, I cannot go any longer. It is my time to finally rest. Touch it and begin your journey. Good luck, and goodbye, my sweet angel. Her face turned into light and silence filled the air. Midoriya kept staring, but there was nothing left but the feeling of emptiness. He turned and looked at the fruit again, realizing he was crying this whole time. He wiped the tears and touched the fruit, whispering while closing his eyes. Goodbye, mother. Midoriya felt engulfed by something coming from the fruit, pulling him forward until he fell again, opening his eyes but seeing Bakugo crew shed 10 feet away from him and Tokiyami using his battle stance while Dark Shadow stood in front of him with his claws on a defensive position. Midoriya slowly blinked and felt tears rolling down his face. What's going on? He asked, a little dizzy. We should be asking you that, you fucking bastard. Look around you, Midoriya. Tokiyami pointed. Midoriya looked down and saw himself in the same position he was. But now the surrounding area was burnt and destroyed. He was feeling awake now, so he got up and asked. What exactly happened? Did I hurt you? No, but if we weren't paying attention I believe we could have died. Some kind of energy started coming out of you and out of nowhere lightning bolts struck. We tried to call out, but you looked asleep. What happened? Midoriya looked to his left hand and raised it, feeling the link to the fruit alongside with the new link he made with his mother. He was able to feel all that power now. He was the one connected to the fruit. He felt like he could do anything. He felt he could be anything. He felt like a god. I felt the darkness inside of me. Huh. Pretty accurate. Tough luck you're stuck with me because you can send dark thoughts as much as you like. You'll never see daylight through my eyes. You'll remain there in the darkness, being used until the day I decide to get rid of you. Midoriya thought that as if he was speaking towards someone or something. Feeling hurt. It wasn't really an entity, but he felt disgusted and revolted by the thing that did all those things to Kagaya. She didn't deserve all of that. She was so kind. He raised his right hand as well and said out loud while activating the Crimson Moon. Raijin. Both his hands literally disappeared under the immense amount of bolts of lightning gathering on his palms, but this time, they weren't completely out of control. He looked at Tokiyami and answered his question with a sad smile. Nothing happened. I just had a pleasant dream. Midoriya, Bakugo, and Tokiyami were walking in silence, heading towards Midoriya's home. None of them could think about a topic to speak, so they just kept walking in silence. Out of nowhere, a cruiser stopped next to them, two cops getting out of the car. One of them speaking loudly. You must be the two troublemakers, Midoriya Izuku and Bakugo Katsuki, huh? The chief of police in the quirk misuse department wants to interview both of you. Let's go. You're coming with us. Midoriya looked at his face and noticed an angry edge to his tone. He felt so annoyed because of how unfair this situation was. Bakugo was about to explode as well, but even he knew they were in a tight spot, so he spat on the floor and started walking towards the cruiser, making the policeman smirk. It was a thing that started happen in this quirk-based society a couple of years ago. People who were born quirkless were knocked into less relevant security jobs, developing some kind of resentment towards those who had powers. It was only natural if you think about it. While Bakugo walked, Midoriya thought for 1 second about all this and if what he was feeling right now was all coming from him or if the darkness had something to do with it. For the moment, he felt only himself. I don't mind going along, sir, but could you please stop your assumptions and judgment toward us? We did nothing wrong. Hey brat, you're ALR. ED deep into trouble and you want to run your mouth. Get in now. Bakugo stopped moving towards the car as well, his hands closing into fists as he looked down, biting his lips until blood started coming out, frustrated. Yes, Bakugo was out of options, but Midoriya didn't feel that way anymore, so he took one step closer and said in a controlled voice. If you'll behave like this, sir, I'm afraid I can't comply with your request, so the other troublemaker and I will walk back to my home and wait for someone else to come pick us up. Let's go, Kachan. The police officer couldn't believe what he just heard and his face changed into one filled with rage and disgust. You're committing a crime, you spoiled little shit. You're not going to follow a policeman's order. We represent this city and if someone who can make a face like that towards 3 teenagers is representing the city, maybe it's time to change the police staff. Who knows, maybe we should change the entire city instead. Let's go, Kachan. Midoriya turned, starting to walk away, but snuck a glance over his shoulder, noticing the man's hand on his gun. His face showing concern and worry as he was deciding if he should arrest them right now or not. Oi, if you reach for that shit, I don't give a fuck if you're wearing a uniform or not. I'll blast your arm off. Bakugo hissed and walked past him, going with the other two. As the policeman's partner radioed about what just happened. 2 hours later, at Midoriya's home, they were waiting inside his room. Tokiyami was reading the book about Kagaya's children, completely absorbed while Bakugo was sitting, facing Midoriya. Dumb move back there, aren't you supposed to be the obedient kid? He chuckled and Midoriya, who was facing a wall lost in thoughts, turned and answered. I guess I changed, and I guess I have a weak spot against humiliation. I wonder where that came from. Fuck off. Yay, guess it's a mystery. Suddenly they heard sirens coming from afar, and Midoriya said to Tokiyami while getting up. When I have news, I'll call you, okay? Thank you for coming today. He raised his closed fist towards him but Tokiyami walked by and gave him a one-arm hug. After letting him go, the boy bumped Midoriya's chest with his fist closed. Be smart, be cool. Hey, I'm always cool. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, I'll see you later. They went to the live-in. G-room while Midoriya led Tokiyami to sit in the kitchen, so he could wait for everything to end. Someone banged on the door and they heard a loud voice. Police department, open up. Inko, who was aware of everything, opened the door and got swarmed by at least 10 special agents, all wearing black and using tactical helmets. You two, on the ground, now. Midoriya looked at Tokiyami who raised high S eyebrows saying I told you without words. I'm sorry but we won't get on the ground, officers. What do you want? You're being taken into custody for refusing to obey police's orders and for threatening a policeman. Now, on the ground or we may be obliged to use force. Midoriya raised both his eyebrows to that absurd and got a little out of control. We're not showing any aggression, but if you use any kind of violence toward us, I'll retaliate. Please, I'm more than ready to go with you to your station and answer all your questions. I'm not declining the order. I'm declining to obey this kind of approach just as I did before. Quote, I guess they were right to send us, then. Midoriya saw two forms coming between the cops and instantly recognized the two pro-heroes facing him. Kamui Woods-san, Gang Orca-san, would you be a good boy and comply with the agents? We don't want to hurt you in your own home and in front of your mother. Gang Orca said, trying to be reasonable. I have nothing but respect for the two of you. And I never said I wouldn't comply with an order. I said I won't obey this kind of approach since I'm not a criminal. Please, lead the way. I'll be glad to follow you to the department. Midoriya waited and saw Kamui duck. Enough of this, young man. Arbor, he said while aiming his arm forward, making wood expand and grow towards Midoriya, but he was waiting for that. Making a gesture with his hand while saying, Ragin Blade, as the wood was about to touch him, an energy flash coming out of nowhere cut everything in its path, opening a hole on the ceiling. The policemen aimed their guns. I told you that any violence towards us would be retaliated. I'm not refusing to obey, I'm not going to obey your approach. If I feel threatened, I will defend myself. You think you can decide what you can or cannot obey, kid? Kamui asked a little edgy and feeling this was no joke, he went all in. Chains prison, both his arms sent wood everywhere, growing into every direction, twisting and going towards Midoriya, but as he activated his secret technique, he saw Midoriya's eyes change, and so did Gang Orca, feeling the danger the boy was emanating. Ragin enhancement. They saw the moment that actual bolts of lightning started covering both his arms with its energy, and before the wood could expand and reach him, they heard a shout followed by an explosion that shook the whole small room. After the small dust cloud faded, they saw Bakugo next to Midoriya with his hands sparkling, looking at Kamui with a cold expression. Midoriya had noticed Bakugo, deciding if he should attack or not and was now surprised that he really went. Fu asked me before if I thought that I could decide what I want to obey, right? We all can decide that, and I want to obey the law. But I won't obey overreacting law enforcement officers in some kind of personal vendetta against quirks users, or pro-heroes who decide to use brute force and repression as their first tool. Dealing with teenagers that aren't showing any sign of aggression. Bakugo looked at him and whispered, what the F are you turning into some fucking SJW now? Midoriya chuckled but quickly recovered. He couldn't laugh right now. This was a serious conversation. Freaking Bakugo. Kamui was positioning his arms again and the policemen disabled their safety locks, but before hell went down, they saw a boy walking into the scene. Followed by a big bird-looking dark entity. They saw the entity instantly assume a defensive position, blocking the policeman's aim. A mutant type, Kamui Woods thought, putting his arms down. Rethinking his battle plan. That should enough, Tokiyami said, and the tension could be felt in the air until Gang Orca grabbed Kamui's shoulder and said, enough, all of you, lower your weapons, now. They all looked apprehensive but obeyed. Gang Orca then turned to Midoriya, Bakugo, and the newest addition, Tokiyami. You three will be in trouble for attacking a pro-hero and going against our orders. But I understand your heart. Please, come with us quietly. You too. He pointed at Tokiyami who nodded, making Dark Shadow retreat and Midoriya stopped his Ragin enhancement. Also turning off the Crimson Moon. Yes sir, but we didn't attack anyone, we just defend ourselves. Midoriya answered and Bakugo started walking ahead with Midoriya following behind, and Tokiyami closing the line. Sir, they're supposed to be in handcuffs, a higher rank officer said but Gang Orca quickly replied. I'll take full responsibility, let's go. Bakugo passed Dire, CTLY facing Kamui before turning to get out, followed by Midoriya who walked by without looking at him at all, while Tokiyami nodded once as an apology before heading out. Outside, there were a lot of cruisers and next to one of them was Inko, who shouted when she saw her son, turning to a closer officer to ask. Izuku, where are you taking my son? What is going on? Calm down, ma'am. Gang Orca-san, can I have a second to calm my mom? Please. Gang Orca looked at him for a second, like he was evaluating his intentions and nodded while saying, make haste. Midoriya walked towards her and got a hug while she started saying incomprehensive words. Calm down, mom, I'm just going to answer some questions. Don't forget to eat. I'll be back soon. He gave her a kiss and walked back to Gang Orca's side. Getting inside a big black SUV, with Bakugo on his left looking outside the window with a bored face, his chin resting on his hand, and Tokiyami on his right, eyes closed, sitting with his arms and legs crossed. Looking like the badass he was. They saw Kamui sitting in an adjacent sit while Gang Orca used the other sit across the car. It was a big car. Why did you lie in your quirk description, Midoriya Izuku? Gang Orca asked, making Bakugo's eyes switch to the inside of the car, and Tokiyami's face slightly turn. I didn't. Everything there is true. I don't remember reading a NY thing related to energy or electricity manipulation. I can assure you it's a derivation of my power, and that I didn't lie on my record. You don't realize the trouble you got yourself and your friends into, do you? Kamui asked rhetorically. They just remained in silence for the rest of the ride, heading directly to the central precinct while back at Midoriya's street the neighbors stopped he camera that was getting everything from the beginning of the approach. They saw again the moment the boys were taken, rewinding the video to see all the action, including everything that happened inside Midoriya's living room. Everything that they saw through the open window. They were put on the same room while waiting for the authorities to come and Midoriya asked to Tokiyami. Why did you meddle, Yami? Everything was under control. I know, I just felt like meddling. He said dismissively in Midoriya sighed while looking at Bakugo. Are you mad I put you into this? Bakugo didn't turn, answering while looking straight at the one-sided mirror. Huh, I decided to help you save those people, if it weren't for me you would be 6 feet under. That's debatable, Midoriya scoffed, tilting his head. Oh, yay, tell me, Almighty One, what would you have fucking done if I wasn't there? The only real issue would be the last room. I guess I wouldn't be able to finish without villains' casualties. Midoriya said while holding his chin. You became such an arrogant prick. Kachan, was that an insult or did you just do a self-evaluation? I'm so proud of you right now. I'll blow you into pieces. Shitty nerd, I should have stayed at home. Tokiyami thought while sighing. The door went open and 4 people entered the room. Chief of the police Saragame Kenji, a man using a suit who Midoriya didn't know, Pro Hero Gang Orca, and finishing the line Pro Hero Endeavor. As they entered the 3 boys instinctively looked at Endeavor, feeling the heat of his flames. And his presence that demanded attention, but only 2 felt pressured by his intensity. Now, I believe we have a lot to discuss. Chief Saragame said while sitting in Midoriya used his Crimson Moon, making everyone inside tension their muscles, but he just wanted to check something and instantly turned it off. I believe we do, Chief Saragame. Midoriya felt a little nervous now, knowing that behind that glass were the 3 Yaoyorozu family members, the UA's principal, a representative of the government he saw on TV, and at least 6 pro heroes, including one he instantly recognized, All Might. Thanks for watching. Handle this kind of sacred KN.